Master, please help Xiao Xiao. As long as you save her, I, Li Dezhuang, will be your running dog in the future. No matter what you ask me to do, I will do it. Not only Shangli, but also Li Dezhuang knelt on the ground and looked at Yi Tianxian, pleading. I'm here to save her this time. Get up quickly. Seeing this, Yi Tian reaches out his hand to help Li Dezhuang and Shangli up, looks at Shangli and says with a smile, you just said something wrong. What you did before really made Xiao Xiao suffer a lot. However, you didn't harm her. If you hadn't given up all your accomplishments at the beginning, I'm afraid she would not have lived until now. Master, please don't comfort me. I know I've made a big mistake. Shangli shook her head bitterly, tears streaming down her face. Over the years, she has been living in remorse, feeling that she was too reckless at the beginning. Instead of helping her daughter, she aggravated her pain. Therefore, she thinks that Yi Tian's words now should be to comfort her. I don't comfort you. Xiao Xiao's meridian disorder is extremely serious. According to my judgment, she can only live to 4 years old at most. But you infuse internal power into her body, although you fail to dredge the meridians and aggravate her pain. But in the same way, this internal force also moistens her vitality and makes her barely maintain her life function until now. Yi Tian looks at Shangli, shakes his head and explains slowly. Ah. Shangli looks at Yi Tian, tears flow more fierce, but can't say a word. She always thought that she had done harm to her daughter, but now, Yi Tian's words made her feel less guilty. Well, I have basically understood the situation. I will start treating Xiao Xiao now. Don't let anyone come in and disturb me. Yi Tian is silent for a moment. When Shangli's mood calms down a little, he goes to the road. Yes, when Li Dezhuang hears the news, he quickly pulls Shangli and stands at the door of the ward. No matter who rushes in, he won't let him disturb Yi Tian, even if he is fighting with the other party. Yan Bing also takes 2 steps back, and then looks at Yi Tian curiously to see how he plans to treat Li Xiao Xiao. Who? Yi Tian takes a deep breath and calms down after everyone retreats. Then he takes out the Shuiling jade which he just got from Tian Yun. He simply engraves several field patterns on it and throws it into the air. In a flash, Shuiling jade was suspended above Li Xiaoxiao's body, and many light white brilliants with rich Shuiyuan flavor were scattered down. Yi Tian plans to treat Li Xiaoxiao with Shilingyu. What a big hand! Yan Bing sees this scene, can't help but slightly speechless. You know, the Shuiling jade that Tian Yun people took out, no matter in quality or size, is far more valuable than the one Li Dezhuang got. Such a treasure, no matter who gets it, is reluctant to give it to others. But who can think Yi Tian would not hesitate to take it out and use it on a little girl she had never met? It seems that the time for the fusion of congenital spirit wood and the achievement of wood element will be delayed. Yi Tian looked down at the pure Shuiyuan Lingqi Shuiling jade. He was a little reluctant, but even so, he didn't regret it. Although Shuiling jade is precious, it is nothing compared with a fresh human life. The achievement of Muxinjiwanti can be delayed, but what can get a girl of flower age out of her illness can't wait for a moment. Tian Yuan Xiuling Ju. Immediately after that, Yi Tianko gives a gentle rebuke, and his hands form a sword formula, which is drawn in the air. Tianyuan spiritual cultivation formula is a kind of Taoist therapy created by Yi Tian when he was in Fengsuan spiritual realm in the past. Even if he looked at the whole Fengsuan spiritual realm, he could be ranked in the top 5. This technique is extremely mysterious. With the help of Shuiyuan aura, even the trauma of the spirit can be repaired, let alone the meridians. In a flash, a pure breath of water element, under the control of Yi Tian's mana, quickly entered Li Xiaoxiao's body, like a trickle, silently infiltrating her meridians. Every mana with the breath of pure water element flows through Li Xiaoxiao's disordered and extremely dry meridians, which immediately become orderly and full of vitality. In just 2 or 3 minutes, Li Dezhuang and Shangli saw that Li Xiaoxiao's feet, which had been damaged by the disorder of meridians, were creeping slightly now. Although the movement is so slight that if you don't look carefully, you can't see it at all. However, the small transformation, but it is so excited that their hearts are about to jump out of their throat eyes. When the eyes look at each other's eyes, are unable to hide the ecstasy, they understand that after so many hardships, this time, the couple finally saw the dawn of hope. As time went on, half an hour soon passed. Even though Tian was on the fourth floor of the cave, his face still turned pale and a thin layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. But Li Xiaoxiao on the hospital bed is in sharp contrast with Tian at the moment. Originally lying quietly on the hospital bed, she can't move. Now her hands and feet are trembling and wriggling gently. These conditions show that Li Xiaoxiao's condition is improving at the speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, more than 10 minutes passed. Su. Hu. As Shuailing jade turns into fine powder, it floats between heaven and earth, and Tian breathes out a long breath. At the same time, Li Xiaoxiao on the bed also opened his eyes and looked everywhere. Although he opened his mouth and couldn't say a word, it was obvious that one was in the sky and the other was on the ground. Xiao. Seeing this, Li Dezhuang and Shang Li rushed to Li Xiaoxiao in a hurry. After pulling out all the pipes that Li Xiaoxiao was wearing, they held her tightly in their arms and burst into tears. Li Xiaoxiao buried his head in the arms of Li Dezhuang and Shang Li. After a long time, he raised his head and opened his mouth, but he still couldn't say a word. He could only make strange hoarse sounds. Master, Xiaoxiao, what is this? Shang Li sees this and looks nervously at Tian. Don't worry, she just hasn't spoken for a long time, and the muscles of her throat are a little flabby. Let her get used to it and take a rest for a while, it will be fine. Tian smiles and shakes his head, indicating that Shang Li doesn't have to worry. Dad, Mom. And at this time, along Li Xiaoxiao's mouth, issued 4 low hoarse syllables. Although the voice, very rough, if not carefully identified, almost cannot identify. But when they heard this hoarse voice, Li Dezhuang and Shang Li felt that it was more beautiful than the so-called sounds of nature. Their tears were like breaking the thread. This scene, let Yen Bing in the heart all can't help some sour astringent, raised a hand to rub eye socket. Master, the lives of our husband and wife will be yours in the future. I'll be willing to give up everything I can. After a long time, Li Dezhuang and Shang Li wipe away the tears from the corners of their eyes. They both kneel down in front of Tian and knock their heads to him heavily for 3 times. Tears come to their eyes. Once upon a time, their husband and wife had almost lost the hope of curing Li Xiaoxiao, leaving only one who was not willing to die at the bottom of his heart. But now, they finally keep the clouds open to see the moon. And all this is because Tian, if not for him, their husband and wife, I'm afraid that in their whole life they would not have heard Li Xiaoxiao call them parents. Grandson, I said that I have been waiting for you at the gate of the hospital for such a long time. It turns out that you are a large group of people performing here. But at this time, the door of the ward was suddenly kicked open, and then Qin Cheng with a large group of people stormed over, waved his hand, and said in a loud voice, all the people in this room, no matter men and women, old and young, give me a hard beating, killing and maiming, it's very little. Kill and maim. When Tian heard these 4 words, his eyes immediately turned cold. It seems that the lesson I taught this boy on the high-speed railway is too light. Otherwise, how dare he come and do such a thing? Green Wolf. What are you doing? But just as Tian was about to start, Li Dezhuang suddenly got up from the ground and looked at a middle-aged man who was leading the way. He cheered coldly. Zhuang Yi. As soon as he heard Li Dezhuang's words, the middle-aged man named Green Wolf immediately shuddered. As soon as his feet stopped, he immediately bowed to Li Dezhuang and said yes. Looking at that, it's obvious that Li Dezhuang had cleaned it up before. Mr. Zhuang? Li Dezhuang is still famous in Tian City. Tian couldn't help but be stunned, but he soon realized that Li Dezhuang's cultivation was weak, but he was also a serious early prefecture-level man. The practitioners of such a realm should be called prefecture-level masters among many mountain people. It's good to have such a master of casual repair in Tian City. It's not surprising that these people call Li Dezhuang Zhuang Yi even if they call him Zhuang Zhu. Green Wolf, what the hell are you doing? Don't listen to Ben Xiao, do you? Believe me or not, let the Qin family in Jiangnan crush you like a bug. Seeing this, Qin Cheng stares at Green Wolf discontentedly and cheers coldly. Qin Xiao, Mr. Zhuang. Green Wolf shivered to see Qin Cheng, and then to see Li Dezhuang, embarrassed, standing in the same place, do not know how to do. The Jiangnan Qin family, standing behind Qin Cheng, naturally can't be provoked by him. As Qin Shang said, as long as the Qin family is willing to move their fingers, they can crush him like a bedbug. As for Li Dazhuang, he remembers very well that just 2 years ago, after drinking a little, he accidentally scratched each other's car, and then got out of the car to play a drunken mania on Li Dazhuang. As a result, Li Dazhuang just reached out and lifted his car into the sewer. At that time, his drunkenness was awakened by the scene of gods coming down to earth. Later, whenever he saw Li Dazhuang, he called him Zhuang Yi. Later, he got some vague information through many channels. In this world, there are some strong people who ordinary people can't understand, and Li Dazhuang is one of them, and he is still the kind of relatively strong. Now, these two people put together, he is really in a dilemma, do not know what to do. Green Wolf, you are still respectful to me in the past 2 years. I might as well remind you that the one standing next to me, even me, should respectfully call the elder. Li Dazhuang looks at the appearance of Green Wolf, after smiling, light way. Zhuang Yi is so strong that he even calls this young man master. That elder's wrist, isn't want to pass the sky? Green Wolf heard this, excited Ling Ling to hit a shiver, hurriedly nodded and bowed to the Leaf Day repeatedly smile. Green Wolf, what the hell do you mean? Zhang Nanqin's words don't matter to you, right? Are you going to let Ben have a good chat with someone else? Qin Xingyi sees the appearance of Green Wolf, the face brushes cold come down, a word of displeasure way. Qin Xiao. The Green Wolf shook his head and his face was bitter. He wanted to slap himself on the ground. At this moment, his intestines are green with regret. If he had known that the person Qin Shang was provoking was Li Dazhuang, he would have pretended to be ill or drunk before, and never saw Qin Shangkai. Zhang Nanqin family, haha. At this time, Li Dazhuang looked at the Green Wolf and said with disdain, if it was before, the Qin family in Jiangnan really had some skills, but now, you Qin family have offended Qingming sect, and it's hard to protect yourself. What's more arrogant? Zhang Nanqin family offended Qingmingzong? Hearing this, Yi Tian couldn't help looking at Li Dazhuang in amazement. He really did not expect that Li Dazhuang should know the secret of who the Qin family in Jiangnan had offended. Are you from the mountains? Qin Shang heard a Zhang, looking at Li Dazhuang, stunned way. You know a lot. Now that you know that we are from the mountains, why don't you get out of here? When the Qin family in Jiangnan will get through the disaster of offending Qingmingzong, come back to be arrogant in front of us. Li Dazhuang responded coldly. Qingming sect is the first sect on the mountain. Its disciples are extremely strong, not to mention numerous. Even if the other 8 of the 6 sects of 3 sects, which are superior to countless people on the mountain, have provoked Qingming sect, they can't expect to have good fruit to eat, let alone the Qin family in Jiangnan, which can only dominate among ordinary people. Haha, you know our Qin family well. But you are wrong. The relationship between Qin family and Qingmingzong will be relaxed soon. Qin Luotian is going to marry Li Fan Yuan, the younger brother of Qingmingzong Li Moran. At that time, we will be related to Qingmingzong. If the family doesn't talk to each other, we will not only have no grudge, but the Qin family can go further. To Li Dazhuang's surprise, Qin Shang's face was not afraid, but sneered. Li Dazhuang frowned. He really didn't know about it. Pop. But at this time, Li Dazhuang felt a flower in front of him, and saw that Yi Tian had already stepped in front of Qin Shang. He raised his hand, slapped Qin Shang in the face heavily, whipped him upside down and hit him heavily at the door of the ward. A family, a group of old men, when they encounter something that can't be solved, they push a woman out. Do you men of the Qin family in Jiangnan have their crotch handles cut? Yi Tian looks at Qin Shang indifferently and cheers coldly. From Qin Shang's words, he can see that the whole Qin family, now I'm afraid, has the intention of pushing Qin Luo God out and marrying Li Fan Yuan to block the disaster for the Qin family. I'm afraid that the reason why this matter has not yet come true is that the Qin family has resisted it. But even so, Qin Shang's shameless use of Qin Luo God as a tool, even complacent performance, still makes Yi Tian hate. After all, Qin Luo God and Ningyao should be one. For him, Qin Luo God is Ningyao, and Ningyao is Qin Luo God. Even Yi Tian now feels a little lucky. If he meets Qin Luotian, a little later, when Qin Luotian is forced to marry Li Fan Yuan, how will it all end? The more so, the more angry Yi Tian was at Qin Shang's rubbish. A group of old men, when they have nothing to do, one by one think about grabbing property with Qin Luotian, thinking about how to squeeze her out of the Qin family. When things happen, I think of Qin Luotian and the people of Qin family, and push her out to block and eliminate disasters for Qin family. In this world, how can there be such a mean and shameless person? Green Wolf, hurry up. If I don't clean up this boy today, I will swear not to be a man. Qin Chang raises his hand and wipes the corner of his mouth. When he finds that his fingertips are full of red blood, he looks at the Green Wolf and roars angrily. Don't deal with me, you don't deserve to be a man, you don't deserve to be a man. Yi Tian looks at Qin Chang with indifference, and steps forward, raising his feet and stepping down heavily. Crack! In a flash, a dull sound of chicken flying eggs immediately sounded along Qin Chang's legs. Ah! Then Qin Chang covered his crotch with both hands and began to howl bitterly at the top of his voice. And along his body, a pool of blood spread quickly, and dyed the ground red. Obviously, from now on, Qin Chang will spend the rest of his life as a eunuch. How could Master Yi be so angry? Did he have a grudge with the Qin family in Jiangnan, or with the young lady of the Qin family? Li Dezhuan looks at Yi Tian with some trepidation. He feels that something is not right. This guy, what's going on? Why did you suddenly fight for Miss Qin? It's not only Li Dezhuan, but Yan Bing is also confused and can't understand what's going on. Although Qin Chang's words made her feel very angry, she didn't expect that Yi Tian's reaction was so violent. I don't know if this guy likes Miss Qin. Get him out of here and don't stay in everyone's eyes. Yi Tian, disgusted to the ground, scream-writhing Qin Chang swept eyes, looking at the Green Wolf, cold way. Yes, yes. Green Wolf is scared by Yi Tian. He nods in a hurry and winks at his subordinates. Then he carries Qin Chang out and finds an emergency room to throw away. Then he flies away. As the saying goes, a thin camel is bigger than a horse. Even if the Qin family in Jiangnan really provokes a big man, Qin Chang, the third son of the Qin family, is still a big man to many people. But now, Yi Tian has abandoned Qin Chang's lifeblood with 1 foot. It can be seen that this elder is powerful. Even if he borrowed 100 more courage, he did not dare to stay with such a cruel man. If a word is wrong, the elder will clean up Qin Chang like he did? As a man, no one wants to be a eunuch. Otherwise, why did the eunuchs in ancient times want to eat with the maids in the palace, raise houses outside the palace, and even cultivate themselves with the lives of young boys and girls, hoping that they could grow back their lives? You are still standing here. Are you going to tell me again that I should just let Qin Chang have me beaten instead of fighting back, let alone abolishing him? At this time, Yi Tian sweeps his eyes at Xuefu, who is standing in the corner of the ward. Hearing this, Xuefu shudders and looks at Yi Tian in awe, shaking her head. She just didn't go, not to say anything, but pure by Yi Tian's means to frighten silly. She thought that Qin Chang would teach Yi Tian a lesson when he found someone. But who would have thought that Qin Shengfei didn't teach Yi Tian a lesson? Instead, he was taught a lesson by Yi Tian, even abandoned his life route and became a eunuch. She couldn't believe it if she hadn't seen it with her own eyes. Why don't you get out of here? Yi Tian hears the sound, looks at Xuefu and says indifferently. I'll go now. Xuefu runs towards the door in a hurry, but her action is too hasty, and for fear that Yi Tian will give her a hand from behind. She keeps looking back. When she comes to the door, her 2 feet trip together and fall on the ground. Ah, don't kill me. I know I'm wrong. Please forgive me. This fall let Xuefu think it is Yi Tian to his hand, immediately closed his eyes, cry more than cry, and along the legs, there is a large wet trace, spread quickly. At this moment, where is there a little bit of the image of the little princess when she was just on the high-speed railway? Her hair is dirty and her whole body exudes a strong stink of urine. She cries more than a beggar. Deal with you, dirty my hands, get out of here. Yi Tian covers his nose and says coldly. When Xuefu heard this, she turned around and found that Yi Tian was far away from her. She fell down because of a stumbling. When she saw her miserable and smelly appearance, she was extremely ashamed. She wanted to find a crack to get in, so she used both hands and feet, dragged a long water stain, and hurriedly climbed towards the door. Dazhuang, you just said that the Qin family in Jiangnan had offended King Ningzong. What's the secret in this? Tell me. Yi Tian raised his hand and waved in front of his nose. Looking at Li Dazhuang, he asked suspiciously. This is something that I happened to hear some time ago. It may not be very accurate, but it should be 7 or 8. Li Dazhuang was respectful to Yi Tian from the bottom of his heart. He dared to hide anything. After telling the reason why he learned about it, he slowly went on, the Qin family in Jiangnan has nothing to do with Qingming clan. The root of the friction between them is actually a mountain area. Mountain area? Is it Feilai Peak? The Leaf Day hears a sound, the eyebrow can't help but slightly a wrinkling, in the heart suddenly many a kind of guess. He was really interested in the affairs of the Qin family in Jiangnan. Did he really like that young lady of the Qin family? Yan Bing secretly looks at Yi Tian and finds that he is full of concentration. He is inexplicably sour in his heart. I don't know the specific name of that mountain area, but it seems that it's a tourist attraction that the Qin family intends to develop, and King Ningzong doesn't know why. He takes a fancy to that mountain area and hopes that the Qin family will give it away. It seems that the Qin family invested a lot in that mountain area. Naturally, they didn't want to give it away in vain, hoping to get compensation from Qingming's sect. The things that King Ningzong likes are always sent to the door by someone else. When someone asked them for compensation, they just thought that the Qin family despised King Ningzong, so they burst into a rage and said that the Qin family in Jiangnan would disappear from the world in 3 months. At this time, the Qin family realized that the situation was not right and wanted to hand it over, but it was too late. These 3 sects and 6 sects, relying on their own heritage, are arrogant and domineering. They don't pay attention to the life and death of Sanshio and ordinary people. It's obvious that they robbed you of things, but it's just like the good fortune they gave you with great mercy. At this time, Li Dazhuang slowly told the whole story of the incident. After a disgusting sigh, he slowly sighed. However, Qingming's sect has a great family, numerous experts, and great influence at the foot of the mountain. The Qin family in the south of the Yangtze River got into trouble with King Ningzong this time. I'm afraid that even if they survived this disaster successfully, they would have to pay a great price. So it is. After listening to Li Dazhuang's words, Yi Tian is more convinced that the fuse of the dispute between King Ningzong and the Qin family in the south of the Yangtze River should be on Feilai Peak, which was encircled by the Qin family racecourse. Master, you didn't say that you were born in Qingming's sect. Maybe you can help the Qin family by talking to the people of Qingming's sect. Li Dazhuang suddenly remembered what Yi Tian said at the trade fair and looked at him quickly. I'm not familiar with the people of King Ningzong. Yi Tian lightly shakes his head and calms down. Not familiar? Li Dazhuang looks at Yi Tian with a confused face. He is from Qingming sect, but he is not familiar with Qingming sect? It can't be said that the elder, who is suspected to be a heaven-level old monster, practiced the thunder immortal skill of Qingming sect by chance, right? But if so, how could the elder have such a brilliant cultivation when he was young? If you let him know that it took less than 2 months for Yi Tian to set foot on the road of cultivation after he returned to the earth, I'm afraid his chin will fall off. Dazhuang, can you do me a favor? At this time, Yi Tian looked at Li Dazhuang and said in a deep voice. Master, you may command me, but I have a life. Dazhuang will do his best, even if he gives up his life. When Li Dazhuang heard the news, he hurriedly clasped his hands and said in a deep voice. It's hard for your family to get rid of bad luck. How can I make you work hard? Yi Tian smiles and shakes his head, then says, I just want you to help me go to Linen, find a person in Fangzhong, help me stare at a place in the Qin family, and inform me whenever there is any situation. The matter of fee-lafing involved King Ningzong. In this way, the cultivation at the beginning of Fang's Hanchuan level was not enough. So he wanted Li Dazhuang to help him. Although the initial level of the prefecture level is not too high, at least the people who met Qingming's sect should have the power to protect themselves. Well, I'll start right away. When Li Dazhuang heard the speech, he immediately nodded heavily. I'm sorry, Xiaoxiao's illness has just recovered, because my business is going to separate your family for a period of time. Yi Tian nodded and looked at Lori with some guilt. Xiaoxiao's life is given by you. It's our honor to help you. Lori waved her hand and said respectfully. As she said, they are grateful to Yi Tian. If there is no Yi Tian, how can they hear the long-lost mom and dad, and how can they have the chance to live happily together instead of being shrouded in shadows? Ding-ling-ling. At this time, Yi Tian's mobile phone suddenly buzzed. He took it up and looked at it. When he found that it was Ning Shue's call, he pressed the answer button. Yi Tian, let me tell you a good news. The first batch of Shueji cream has been off the production line and can be put into the market at any time. In recent 2 days, there will be a drug exchange meeting. Can you join me? I'm a little confused. The first batch of Shueji cream has been off the production line. The efficiency of Ning Shui and Ning Zhongshan is high enough. Hearing this, Yi Tian nodded and said, I'm not in the South China Sea now, but I'll go back immediately. When I get to the South China Sea, I'll contact you. Shueji cream is the secret recipe and startup fund he provides, and it accounts for the largest proportion of dividends. Since Shueji cream is about to enter the market, he naturally can't stand by and help. In the future, I will refine a pill for you, help you rebuild your elixir field, and let you go on the road of cultivation again. After Yi Tian hangs up the phone, he looks at Luoli and says in a deep voice. Reshape Dan Tian? Luoli hears the sound and looks at Yi Tian in disbelief. She can hardly believe her ears. Not only Luoli, but Yanbing and Li Dezhuang are equally shocked. They have never heard of the possibility of repairing a man's elixir field after it is broken. But if this is said by others, they will not believe it, but it happened that this is said by Yi Tian, so they can't help but not believe it. However, they know that with Yi Tian's Dante method, as long as you give him the Dan stove and the necessary elixir, let alone the Dan field is damaged, even if a person's spirit is damaged, he can still refine the Dan medicine to make it recover. Well, let's go first. This is Fong Zhong's contact information. When you get to Linen, contact him, and I will tell him what you want to go ahead of time. Yi Tian didn't explain so much. After calming down, he nodded to Yin Bing, and they walked out of the ward. Master, in order to cure Xiao Xiao, all my savings are gone. This card is the money he gave me after I sold Huolingjia to Shangwan Jinhong. It's my reward to you. After walking out of the ward, Li Dezhuang respectfully takes out his bank card and reaches Yi Tian with both hands. You can keep the money for yourself. The right is my reward for letting you go to Linen for me. Yi Tian smiles and shakes his head. He gained a lot from Yuan's treasure house last time. Even after he invested in Ning Shui, he still had a lot of savings. It's only more than 10 million. Now I really can't see him. Moreover, he was never mean and stingy. He was always generous to those who helped him. Master. Li Dezhuang opened his mouth to refuse. Do you think I'm going to be short of money? Yi Tian light smile, looking at Li Dezhuang calmly. Hearing this, Li Dezhuang immediately scratched his head and gave a simple and honest smile. As Yi Tian said, it is possible for a strong master like him to lack anything but money. Well, I won't be polite to you. I've really let Lori live a hard life these years for the sake of Dawn, and it's time to make up for them. Thinking of this, Li Dezhuang saluted Yi Tian respectfully, but he didn't refuse anymore. After a while, Yi Tian and Yan Bing arrived at the high-speed railway station and bought the earliest ticket back to the South China Sea. After more than 3 hours, Yi Tian and Yan Bing arrived in Nanhai City. The aura of heaven and earth, in addition to great changes. As soon as Yi Tian stepped down from the high-speed railway, he immediately felt that the original rare aura of heaven and earth in Nanhai City now felt more like the tide than before. Not only that, but he also found that the starting point of this aura fluctuation was in the South China Sea. It seems that the time to open the mirage is not far away. When I go to see Master, as long as I get the exact time when the mirage will open, I'll let you know as soon as possible. Let's go together. Although Yan Bing is not as inspired as Yi Tian, he also feels that Nanhai City seems to be different from the past, so he looks at Yi Tian Dao. Good. I'll wait for your news. Yi Tian nodded. 2 days after leaving Nanhai City, he estimated that the third group of people sent by Li Fongyuan should have been waiting for him near the rental house. When the mirage is over, I'll explain our relationship with Master, okay? Yan Bing saw that Yi Tian was going to leave, and quickly stopped him. Before, she didn't know Yi Tian's cultivation strength. She thought it was okay to tease Yi Tian, but now she found that Yi Tian could even kill her master's prefecture-level peak, which made her realize that this guy was a real senior to herself. In front of such a person, she didn't dare to act recklessly. Yes. Yi Tian pondered and nodded. Yan Bing is also a great help to him, and Xiao Changchun now believes that he is his apprentice son-in-law. If Yan Bing is allowed to tell the truth, there may be some twists and turns. After the mirage is over, it's safer to tell the truth again. Yan Bing didn't expect that Yi Tian agreed so happily. He couldn't help but be stunned. Is there anything else? If not, I'll go first. Yi Tian sees that Yan Bing's expression is different, and he doubts. I have another question. Do you like that, Miss Qin? Yan Bing heard the sound, just put two hands, but the vision changed, such as made what decision, looking at Yi Tian doubt. After a word fell, she hurriedly waved her hand to Yi Tian and said, I have no other meaning. I'm just curious. What I can tell you is that I like her, but I don't like her. Yi Tian didn't hide anything. He told the truth of his complex feelings about Qin Luo God. He likes Ning Yao, not Qin Luo God, but Qin Luo God and Ning Yao are one, but there is no memory of square-inch spiritual domain. But there is no doubt that, in addition to himself, he will not let anyone get Qin Luo God, let alone let Qin Luo God get a little hurt. Like her? But it's not like her? Yan Bing eyebrows slightly wrinkle, feel Yi Tian this word specious, some don't understand the meaning inside. But looking at Yi Tian's doting and loving eyes, she is very clear that in Yi Tian's heart, there is only Qin Luo God. Okay, I see. I'll make it clear with Master as soon as possible. It won't affect you and Miss Qin. Read here, Yan Bing can't help feeling slightly sour, looking at Yi Tian slowly. Yi Tian nodded, didn't say anything more, stretched out his hand to stop a car, then rushed to the rental house. Back near the rental house, Yi Tian didn't return to the rental house directly. Instead, he went to Chen Qing's house first. Mr. Yi, you are back. As soon as Yi Tian knocks on the door, Yi Qing opens the far door. When he sees him, he immediately says happily, Master. Squeak squeak. Then, the cicada and the chestnut came running back and forth. Who hearing this noisy voice, Yi Tian was slightly relieved. Before he came back, what he worried most was that the people sent by Li Fan Yuan would do harm to Yu Qing, Yu Chan, and Xiao Li Zi, but now it seems that the worst has not happened. Master, there are two bad guys living in your yard. If it wasn't for Shifu, you told me before, and my fists were not hard enough, I would punch them one by one. At this time, Cicada clenched his hands and looked at Yi Tian Dao indignantly. Li Fan Yuan sent people, even birds occupy the dove nest, occupy their own home. When Yi Tian heard this, he immediately passed a cold light on his eyes, reached out and rubbed the cicada's head, then said with a smile, after that, I'll work harder and practice my fists better than iron. As for now, let me show you, Master, how I beat them up. Beat them. Beat them up. The cicada clenched her small fist and waved it hard. Her big eyes were shining. Squeak. Squeak. Xiao Lizi jumps up and down on Yi Tian's shoulder, her ruby eyes rolling around, as if echoing the words of a cicada. Go with a smile. Yi Tian goes straight to rent a house. As soon as Yi Tian opened the door, he saw two middle-aged people sitting in the living room with their knees crossed, meditating. And the two men's cultivation strength is really good, everyone is the same as Li Dashuang, is the early cultivation of prefecture level. At last. Although your kennel is a little broken, I didn't expect that your aura is very good. No wonder you can kill the first two groups of people sent by Li Fan Yuan before. At the same time, the two middle-aged people heard the news. After opening their eyes, they glanced at Yi Tian coldly and said faintly, kneel down and die quickly, don't waste our time. Li Fan Yuan? Yi Tian's eyes changed and he gazed at them. He said in a deep voice, are you from Qingming sect? You have some vision. Since we know that we are from Qingming zone, we should kneel down and kill ourselves, so as not to dirty our brother's hands. Two middle-aged people hear Yi Tian's words and look more proud. Qingming sect, the first sect on the mountain. As the disciples of Qingming zone, they naturally feel that they have the ability to be proud. I think it's better for you to kneel down and kill yourself so as not to dirty my master's hands. The cicada is holding a small fist, not to be outdone, looking at the two middle-aged people's voices. Squeak squeak. Xiao Lizi also jumped from Yi Tian's shoulder to the top of the cicada's head, looking at the two middle-aged people and making a cry. The little girl with sharp teeth and sharp mouth, the animal who doesn't know how to live or die, let him know the power of our Qingming sect with you two first. Hearing this, the two middle-aged people's faces sank, and immediately raised their hands and grabbed the cicada and the chestnut. Shwa! In a flash, two strange forces of qi, like a whirlwind, roared out of the two middle-aged men's hands and headed for the cicada and the chestnut. Cloud photographer. Yi Tian saw this scene, his eyes suddenly changed, and his eyes were full of amazement. Ha ha ha, boy, you have a good knowledge. In this case, why don't you kneel down and lead the neck to kill? Hearing this, a middle-aged man raised his head and laughed wildly. How can you do this? Yi Tian frowned slightly, stretched out his hand, pulled the cicada and the chestnut behind him, avoided the blow, and said in a deep voice. Taking pictures of the clouds is one of the basic secrets of Qingming Blessed Land. This method uses mana to pull the object through the cyclone. What's more, this hand was created by Yi Tian in Fengsuan Spirit Field. But now, the cloud photographer appeared on the two mountain people of Qingming sect. Even if he could feel that this method was incomplete, it was enough to surprise him. Why do we do this? Ha ha ha, this is the secret of my Qingming sect. Who can we? A middle-aged man looked up and sneered at him. He was extremely rampant. Don't talk to him so much, elder martial brother. Kill him first, and then kill the little one. As for the squirrel, it looks good. You can take it back to the mountain gate and give it to younger martial sister. Another middle-aged man's eyes flashed with impatience. Ha ha, kill me? The ignorant or fearless Yi Tian sneered, grabbed his hand forward and said, Cloud photographer. Boy, who do you think you are? Just look at it once. A middle-aged man heard Yi Tian's words and immediately burst out laughing. But just half of what he said, he opened his mouth and looked at Yi Tian as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. I saw that Yi Tian's hand stretched out for a moment. In the void, there was a cyclone. What's more, the strength of the cyclone is more powerful than that of the two of them. No way, it's absolutely impossible. How can you know my Qingmingzong skill? While the two middle-aged people dodged, their faces were full of incredible exclamations. Qingming sect has strict rules and skills, which are not passed on by the inner disciples. But now, they saw the unique cloud photographer of Qingming sect in Yi Tian. How could they not be shocked? Shwa! But at this time, let these two middle-aged people feel more incredible scene appeared. Although they dodged, Yi Angel's breath of Cloudcatcher actually followed them. Then he grabbed a middle-aged man who was a little closer to Yi Tian and flew to Yi Tian in the air. And no matter how the middle-aged man struggled, he couldn't break free at all. How could that be? What's going on? The middle-aged man was so stunned that he could hardly believe it was true. It's inconceivable for a young stranger to perform the unique secret skills of Qingming sect. The other person's means are stronger than their Qingming sect. This is not what he saw with his own eyes. Who dares to believe it? Bang! And at this time, Yi Tian with the aid of Cloud Camera hand to grasp the name to the body before and after, Han Yun, then pinched his neck. Immediately after that, Yi Tian's mind quickly entered the middle-aged man's body. The smell Qingming Taoist formula. As soon as he entered the middle-aged man, Yi Tian immediately sensed the secret of the blessed land of Qingming, the breath of Qingming Daoju. In the last life, he practiced this skill for 200 years, so he could be sure that it was absolutely right. However, the Qingming Taoist formula practiced by middle-aged people is incomplete. There are several obvious flaws. Who are you? The middle-aged man looked at Yi Tian's eyes. He was surprised and exclaimed, He's not a young man who's been wandering down the mountain, but he's never been as frightened as he is now. The secret of Qingming sect is learned and used better than the real disciples of Qingming sect. The early masters of the prefecture level have no fighting power in front of each other. All these things are not seen with one's own eyes. Who dares to believe them? It doesn't matter who I am. You just need to remember that I'm the one you can't make trouble of. Yi Tianping was quiet, holding the hand of the middle-aged man's neck, slowly adding force at the same time. He said, "Next, answer my question, where does your Qingmingzong inheritance come from? How did you learn to be a cloud photographer? And did you mention the word square inch in your family? You dream. I warn you, let me go quickly, otherwise, even if your cultivation is strong, you will not have good fruit to eat even if you enrage Qingming's sect." The middle-aged man threatened Yi Tian in a fierce voice. "Since you don't want to say it, shut up forever." Yi Tian's eyes cold, 5 fingers suddenly add force, along the middle-aged man's neck, a crisp sound, his head will be soft lying on the shoulder, no breath, only a pair of eyes staring big. It seems that even he can't believe it until he dies. Yi Tian really dares to fight against him who was born in Qingming's sect. Master, how fierce! The cicada was a little scared, but he was excited to look at all this. His eyes were rolling around, almost shining. How's it going? Would you like to say that? At this time, Yi Tian turned to look at another middle-aged man and said calmly. I said I say everything. Looking at Yi Tianxian's cold eyes, a middle-aged man shivered. Then he said in a hurry, the inheritance of Qingming's sect is said to come from a mysterious blessed place. As for the specific situation, my cultivation is too low. I'm afraid only the patriarch and the elders know about it. But it's said that the blessed place is so mysterious that it may be far away from heaven. It's also a secret of the clan to take charge of the cloud hand. It's said that it was created by a grandmaster in that mysterious and blessed place. As for the word square inch, I haven't heard of it in the clan. I don't know what it means. Blessed land Tianlai Grandmaster Yi Tian was stunned. The word blessed land is indeed a comparison with the word blessed land of Qingming. Compared with the earth, the word blessed land of Qingming is indeed outside the sky. As for the word grandmaster, he was in the blessed land of Qingming. As the master of the blessed land, he was indeed called grandmaster by many disciples. But the more so, the more confused Yi Tian was. The time of Qingming blessed land and the earth should be two incompatible systems. But now, how can the two interweave together? It can't be said that when the blessed land of Qingming was destroyed, some disciples, like Ning Yao, encountered the turbulence of time and space. Before the extremely distant time on earth, they established Qingming's sect here and continued the tradition of the blessed land of Qingming. But if that is the case, how could the word Fengsuan not be mentioned in the inheritance of Qingmingzong? Moreover, the cloud catcher is placed in the blessed place of Qingming, which is a very basic means. Anyone who is more than 3 levels of the cave can learn to use it. Only if the person who has gone through the chaos of time and space, whose cultivation is at or below the 3rd floor of the cave, can he remember the cloud photographer in Qingming Daoju in disorder and greatly reduce his power. However, if that is the case, I am afraid that the friar's fragile bodies and spirits on the 3rd floor or below of the cave will not survive the invasion of the turbulence of time and space. At this moment, Yi Tian only felt that his eyes were covered by a fog, and it was difficult to see the context of the truth. But the only thing he can be sure of is that there is indeed a strange connection between the earth and the square-inch spiritual realm. In other words, they have had contact at a special time node. Even, looking at the earth, I'm afraid Ning Yao and I are not the only 2 monks from the square-inch spiritual realm. What's the matter between Qingmingzong and the Qin family in Jiangnan? If Qin Luotian and Li Fangyuan get married, will Li Moran really help the Qin family to intercede and get rid of this disaster? Yi Tian was a little silent. Seeing that he could not find the answer, he asked the middle-aged man other questions. The relationship between Qingmingzong and the Qin family in Jiangnan is very simple. Because Qingmingzong found a field array in Filafing, he suspected that there was a cave, so he wanted to take that area into his pocket. But he didn't think about it, but the Qin family in Jiangnan got it in advance, and the Qin family didn't want to give the land away for free, so they quarreled with each other. Hearing this, the middle-aged man replied in a hurry. It's really Fei Lai Feng. Yi Tian's eyes are clear when he hears the words. The truth of the conflict between Qingmingzong and the Qin family in Jiangnan is exactly the same as what he guessed. As for the engagement, as far as I know, it's just that Li Fangyuan is making tiger skin by holding the banner of Elder Marshal Brotherly Muron, but Elder Marshal Brotherly is happy to see it come true. Elder Martial Brotherly Moron is in charge of the affairs of the Qin family in Jiangnan. As far as I know, even if Qin Luotian really married Li Fanyuan, Elder Martial Brotherly would not give up. Elder Martial Brotherly has made a plan to dedicate the family members of the Qin family in Jiangnan to the clan, consolidate his position as the chief, and earn more capital for succeeding as the leader of the clan in the future. Elder Martial Brotherly sent us to help Li Fanyuan, put pressure on the Qin family in Jiangnan, and force them to submit. At this time, the middle-aged man continued to walk slowly. I see. It's ridiculous that the cowards in the Qin family in Jiangnan, like Qin Shang, are stupid enough to think that they can be safe as long as Qin Luo God is pushed out. Who knows, others actually treat them as fish to be slaughtered on the chopping board. No matter how they please them, they can't avoid the knife that will fall on their heads sooner or later. Master, I have told you everything I know. Please forgive me. The middle-aged man prayed to Yi Tian, hoping that he could raise his hand and give himself a way to live. Repeat what you just said to me about the Qin family in Jiangnan. Yi Tian ignored the middle-aged man's request, took out his mobile phone, pressed the video button, aimed at him, and said in a deep voice. The middle-aged man dare not disobey at the moment. After hearing the speech, he hastily repeated it. Master, I've told you everything I know. I've done everything you asked me to do. Please, let me go. After finishing his words, the middle-aged man continued to plead with Yi Tian, hoping to get a glimmer of life. Let you go? If I'm the one begging for mercy, will you let me go? Yi Tian smiles indifferently and says coldly. These two disciples of Qingming sect are extremely cruel. When they meet each other, they let him kill them. Even a little girl like Cicada would not let go. I think how cruel and vicious they are. If we let such people go, we don't know how many more people will be harmed. Zheng. A word fell. Yi Tian thought a move, fierce sword suddenly appeared, did not give the middle-aged man any chance to react, then a sword pierced his chest, in the blink of an eye, let him turn into fly ash, dissipated between heaven and earth. His master, your sword is so fierce. Can you show me? The cicada looked at the scene and gasped. On her small face, although she was afraid, she was more excited and eager to try. It seemed that she wanted to hold Yi Tian's fierce flying sword in her hand and try it out. Why is this little green oyster so fierce? Yi Tian looks at the cicada's appearance, and his heart is slightly stunned. You know, green is timid. At the moment, if you change to be green, I'm afraid you will be scared to faint. But the cicada here, although there is a startling color on his face, but only a drop in the bucket, more, are strong excitement. This kind of situation is obviously different from the charm of green mango. This is a fierce sword. If the spirit is not firm enough, it will be attacked by the devil. You are too young to touch this sword easily. Yi Tian shakes his head, puts the fierce soldier's flying sword into the storage ring, rubs the cicada's small head and laughs. Although he didn't say any harsh words, he had made a decision in his heart. In the future, he must not use this cruel method in front of her because the little girl is not a human being, but a charming girl, so as not to lead the good child away. Well. The cicada was obviously disappointed. But fortunately for the child's temperament, the little chestnut danced on his shoulder a few times, and the loss disappeared. Ding-ling-ling. At this time, Yi Tian's mobile phone suddenly rings. At this moment, in addition to Li Fanyuan, who can be calling? Yi. As soon as the phone was connected, Li Fanyuan on the opposite side sneered. King Mingzong, two experts attack together. He does not believe that this time Yi Tian still has the possibility to escape from Sheng Tian. Are you looking for those two guys from Qingming sect? Unfortunately, you call too late. These two people have fallen into the pit of my home, neck broken, sealeth not. Send someone to collect the corpses for them. By the way, next time someone comes, remember to bring me a sum of compensation. These idiots die here every day. My yard has become a murderous house. Without waiting for Li Fanyuan to finish, Yi Tian said with a smile. Your bullshit. Li Fanyuan was stunned and exclaimed. If you don't believe me, you can come and have a look for yourself, but I have to remind you in advance that the pit in my house is really big. If you accidentally fall into it and die, remember to blame yourself for being stupid. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Yi Tian smiles and hangs up. You. When Li Fanyuan heard this, he was furious and wanted to attack, but there was only a busy tone on the phone. He wanted to call back, but he put his hand on the screen, and just about to press it, but he didn't touch it yet, but he hovered in mid-air again, his face uncertain. He felt that Yi Tian didn't lie. At the beginning of Li Muron's deployment, the two prefecture-level soldiers, whether they fell into a big pit and died, or for other reasons, must have really died. However, he couldn't understand how a wild boy in the backwater of Nanhai City could have such a powerful means. He sent a group of people to go there, just like a bullock into the sea, annihilating a group of people. A humble boy in a remote area, he absolutely has no such ability, someone must be helping him. Li Fanyuan murmured to himself, and Qin Luoshan's face suddenly crossed his mind. It is Yi Tian who tells Qin Luoshan everything. The Qin family helps him secretly. In other words, this guy, who was originally a proud figure of a certain sect, was the patron of Qin Luo God? Or, which sect is actually plotting against the Li family and Qingming sect? But which sect on the mountain is so brave? Is it not one sect, but 2 or 3 sects formed an alliance? Li Fanyuan thinks about things from left to right, constantly pondering, and his mind is full of thoughts. Finally, he found Li Muron in the address book, pressed it and rang the bell 3 times. When he got through, he looked respectful and said, "Brother, I seem to have found something extraordinary." "What can you do? Haven't the 2 guys I sent you solved your so-called trouble?" Soon, along the phone there came a cold and arrogant voice. This voice is not like a dialogue between brothers, but rather like the elder scolding the younger. "Brother, those 2 guys you sent seem dead." Li Fanyuan was obviously afraid of Li Muron. After hearing this, he was very timid. "All dead? Are you sure?" Li Muron was obviously shocked by Li Fanyuan's words. After a long silence, he said in a deep voice. According to Li Muron's judgment, even if the other person is in the middle of the prefecture level, he will be easily killed. As for the later stage of the prefecture level, or the peak of the prefecture level, I'm joking. How can a 20-year-old college student do something that even he, the first person of the young generation of Qingming Zone, can't do? Is he an immortal? I didn't see it with my own eyes, but it should be true, because the guy called me and the people you sent couldn't be contacted. After swallowing his saliva, Li Fanyuan said cautiously. Li Muron heard the speech and was completely silent. The 2 prefectural leaders he sent to Li Fanyuan were not top-notch in Qingmingzong's strength at the early stage, but they were absolutely top-notch in terms of their ruthlessness. After these 2 people make a move, Yi Tian can still call Li Fanyuan. There is only one possibility, that is, they miss and lose their lives. I'm going to make a breakthrough recently. I don't have time to pay attention to these things. Take advantage of this time to investigate that guy clearly, and then send me all the information related to him. Also, don't contact him again for the time being. After a while, I'll see for myself how capable he is. After a long time, Li Muron said in a deep voice, and then hung up. Yi, you are finished. Li Fanyuan put down the phone and grinned. In his view, once Li Muron personally hands, as long as Yi Tian is not an immortal, there is no doubt that he will die. Yi Tian naturally knows nothing about the dialogue between Li Fanyuan and Li Muron. However, even if he knew, he would not take it to heart. In his opinion, the head of Qingming's 7 sons is just the head of the auction head. A night without words, soon to the next morning. When the sun rises, Ning Shui calls and asks if Yi Tian returns to Ninghai. After Yi Tian gave a positive answer, Ning Shui happily told Yi Tian that the drug release exchange meeting of various pharmaceutical companies would be held in the conference hall of Nanhai Hotel. When Yi Tian hears the speech, he asks Ning Shui to meet at the door of the conference hall. Then he hangs up the phone and starts to clean up. At the same time, at the gate of Nanhai Hotel, although the conference has not officially started, there are many luxury cars coming slowly, and then a successful person in suit and shoes with pride comes down from the car. The annual Nanhai Drug Release and Exchange Conference is the biggest pharmaceutical enterprise conference in China. Every year, many pharmaceutical enterprises release newly developed drugs at the conference and sign cooperation intention with downstream companies. The turnover of each exchange meeting is billions, which cannot be ignored by pharmaceutical companies. Not only the pharmaceutical companies, but also the journalists from many medical magazines and we media have come to take photos of the leaders of the enterprises who came to the exchange meeting and use them as news materials. Ning Shui lives closer to Nanhai Hotel, so Yi Tian arrives earlier. Beauty, no matter where it is placed, is a resource to attract attention. As soon as Ning Shui appears, many reporters immediately turn the camera to Ning Shui and shoot her wildly. When I see Yi Tian, should I behave the same as before, or be a little closer? Although Ning Shui showed a smiling face to those shots, she was in a state of turmoil. Last time that trade rash kiss, let her some don't know how to face Yi Tian, especially since that day, Yi Tian never contacted her, let her have some worry, will let Yi Tian feel embarrassed or bored, no longer pay attention to themselves. Although Yi Tian agreed to attend the exchange meeting this time, she didn't see Yi Tian with her own eyes. Her heart is always hanging and can't let go. Oh, isn't this Mr. Ning of Ning's Pharmaceutical? How did your grandfather let you come to the exchange meeting this time? Is it because he intends to draw some OEM lists for your company with the help of the charm of your beautiful general manager? But at this time, along not far away, a man in suit and leather shoes came over, eyes hot toward Ning Shui's swept eyes, in which with Nuyu rode. We don't have to worry about the family affairs. But there's one thing you're wrong about. I'm not here to receive the OEM list, but to release a new special medicine. Ning Shui sees this young man, the vision immediately brushes cold to come down. This man, Chen Fanfan, is the chairman of Jinling Pharmaceutical Group. Jinling Pharmaceutical is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in China, which is on a par with the Lin family. In the past, Ning Pharmaceutical also helped Jinling Pharmaceutical to manufacture several products. This time, after the Lin family cut off the cooperation with Ning's pharmaceutical industry, Chen Fanfan also suddenly cut off the cooperation with Ning's, which made them overstock a batch of raw materials and lost a lot of money. Now, seeing this villain again, she naturally won't give each other a good face. Ningjia is going to release new drugs? Did I hear you right? When Chen Fanfan heard the speech, the meaning of metonymy became stronger. Not only that, looking at Ning Shui's cold pretty face, he felt even more itchy. This beautiful and refined face, ever since I met Ning family when I was negotiating with them for cooperation, made him yearn for Fangza. The last time Ning's family was beaten down by Lin's family, he hinted that Ning Shui didn't mind helping her out of the crisis as long as she was willing to accompany her. Unexpectedly, the woman scolded him and hung up. This kind of rejection let Chen extraordinary anger at the same time, in the heart want to get the kind of desire of Ning Shui, also become more intense. After all, for men, the more things they can't get, the more they want to get. Rather Snow disgusted saw Chen extraordinary one eye, turned the head to one side, did not pay attention to his words at all. Mr. Ning, to be honest, in fact, in the past few years, the cooperation between Jinling Pharmaceutical and your Ning family has been very happy. If Chen Fanfan looks at the appearance of Rather Snow, faint smile, play taste. Mr. Chen, I'm sorry that our Ning family has no plan to cooperate with anyone, including you Jinling Pharmaceutical. You don't have to waste your time with me. Rather Snow doesn't wait for Chen Special to finish saying, then coldly interrupted his words. A woman who doesn't know what to do. When Chen Fifan heard this, he put away his smile and added a few more shades. Mr. Ning, we have cooperated before, so I am very clear about your situation of Ning's pharmaceutical industry. It should be very hard for Ning's pharmaceutical industry to lose the two big customers of Lin family and Jinling Pharmaceutical. People under the eaves have to understand the truth of bowing their heads. Why should they refuse people thousands of miles away? We Jinling Pharmaceutical still have some influence in the industry, don't you worry? Following closely, Chen Special is lukewarm menace way. Surname Chen, don't mention these. I'll tell you whether our Ningxia pharmaceutical industry is good or bad has nothing to do with you. If you want to use any means, please help yourself. I'm not afraid of you. Ning Shui's cold counterattack. If it is before, to Chen Fanfan's words, she probably forbeared. But now, holding the snow cream in her hand, she is full of confidence, how to fear the threat of Chen Extraordinary. Why is this woman so confident today? What kind of specific drug has Mo Fining developed? However, they are just a factory engaged in OEM. To put it mildly, they work for others. How can such enterprises have the strength of independent R&D? Chen Fanfan looks at Ning Shui with a cold look. He can't help but have some doubts in his heart. Mr. Chen? Excuse me, is there any new drug to be released when Jinling Pharmaceutical Company, Limited comes to the exchange meeting this time? But at this time, along the distance, a few reporters carrying cameras rushed over, raised the microphone, handed to Chen Fanfan in front of him, full of adoration. Jinling Pharmaceutical is an outstanding pharmaceutical company in Huaxia. But Chen Fanfan is only in his early 30s, and he is in charge of such a giant. Naturally, many people worship him. It's natural. Every year at Nanhai Drug Release and Exchange Conference, Jinling Pharmaceutical will release a new product. When Chen Fanfan saw the camera, the sullen look on his face immediately dissipated. After a warm and elegant sentence, Zhao Ningxue looked at her eyes, and immediately pretended to be upright, saying, "Drugs save people, so the quality of drugs is no small matter. Here, I would like to remind you that when you buy drugs, you should recognize big companies like Jinling Pharmaceutical, and be careful good companies' drugs, such as some pharmaceutical companies that have been doing OEM work for others, but suddenly transformed and launched new drugs. After all, no one knows if they are selling drugs for evil purposes. Foundry? Black heart medicine? Damn it, this wretch." Ning Shui looks at Chen Fanfan's awe-inspiring face, and her heart can't help clattering. She faintly has a bad feeling. "Mr. Chen, it seems that some OEM pharmaceutical companies are manufacturing black heart drugs?" Those reporters heard black heart medicine, 3 words, immediately came to interest, looking at Chen Special asked. "I just want to remind you to pay attention when you buy medicine." Chen Fifan shrugged a smile, then pointed to Ning Shui beside him and said, "This is the general manager of Ningshi Pharmaceutical. Ning Shui, his family is a OEM pharmaceutical company. You can consult her about the inside story of the OEM pharmaceutical company." After saying, Chen Special skin smile meet not smile of looking at rather Snow, want to see how she plans to deal with. "Mr. Ning, what do you think of Mr. Chen's remarks about OEM pharmaceutical companies launching their own black heart drugs? Mr. Ning, do you have any plans to launch new drugs this time?" And at this time, those reporters have been the lens and microphone aimed at Ning Shui. She sent out a question. The aggressive questioning seems to have confirmed that Ning's Pharmaceutical is the Black Heart pharmaceutical enterprise in Chen Fanfan's mouth. Damn it! Ning Shui listens to this sentence to ask. The facial expression is difficult to see the pole, open mouth, but don't know how to answer. If she denies Chen's words, she will be considered guilty. If she doesn't say anything, it will fulfill Chen's wish and make people feel that she is acquiescent. "Mr. Ning, you didn't say a word. Is it because Mr. Chen said that the OEM pharmaceutical company is your Ning Pharmaceutical Company?" When Ning Shui hesitated, the reporters' questions became more acute. Some reporters even began to question Ning Shui face to face with gongs and drums. Ning Shui hears the sound and shakes her head. She can open her mouth, but she doesn't know what to say. "Small sample, fight with me, I will let you climb to my bed sooner or later." Chen Fanfan looks at Ning Shui's flustered appearance. He is very proud in his heart. It seems that he has already seen the beautiful picture of Ning Shui who was forced to go to his head and climb to bed. Shouldn't it be the patient's attempt to test a new drug? How did it become the so-called sentence of which company produced and who didn't know? Is it difficult? If I say that Jinling Pharmaceutical stores cheat customers, cheat and deliberately use inferior raw materials to pass off, will you think that Jinling Pharmaceutical is such a black heart enterprise? But at this time, along the back of a group of reporters, suddenly came a peaceful voice. "Yi Tian." Ning Shui hears this voice, the facial expression immediately a joy, lose voice way. "Sir, do you mean that Jinling Pharmaceutical is a black heart enterprise?" At this time, the reporters also turned the microphone and aimed at Yi Tian. "What kind of enterprise is Jinling Pharmaceutical? I think it's the most clear thing for you to ask him about it." Yi Tian chuckles, chin toward Chen Fanfan a pick, light fluttering will throw the problem to Chen Fanfan. In a flash, the eyes and lens of all reporters immediately fell on Chen Fanfan. This kid is so damn sharp. Seeing this, Chen Fanfan scolded in his heart, but he hurriedly grinned on his face and vowed, Jinling Pharmaceutical has a history of 50 years. We have been trying our best to produce high-quality drugs to help patients. Every raw material and every process has strict requirements. It is not the so-called Black Heart Pharmaceutical Company. Patients who take drugs have the most say in this. The release exchange meeting will start immediately. Please enter the meeting. At this time, a beautiful female voice broadcast sounded, announced admission. A group of reporters heard the news, hurriedly left Chen Fanfan and Ning Shui, rushed to the venue. Seeing this, Chen Fifan sighs with a long sigh of relief. After taking a cold look at Yi Tian and Ning Shui, he turns around and walks into the meeting hall. It's good that you're here, otherwise, I just really don't know how to deal with it. Ning Shui is also relieved, and then looking at Yi Tian, after a grateful sentence, some surprised way, but I really didn't expect that you should have such good coping skills. Practice makes perfect. Let's go. Let's go in, too. Yi Tian chuckled and walked towards the assembly hall. At that time, in Fengsuan Lingyu, before he broke into the name of Emperor Dandi, the pills he refined were also so carved like snow, which were questioned and slandered by many famous Dan masters. That time and again the contest, led him to this kind of situation, already had the extremely good method to deal with. Practice makes perfect? Isn't he a college student? How can he be so proficient? Ning Shui looks at Yi Tian suspiciously. She thinks in her heart that she wants to ask. But seeing Yi Tian going far away, she presses the doubt in her heart and follows him to the meeting place. In the conference hall, there are many drug exhibition booths for pharmaceutical companies, on which their key products and some newly developed drugs are displayed. Among the many booths, the one of Jinling Pharmaceutical is the largest, with the largest number of drugs. In particular, the empty counter where new products are placed has a bunch of spotlights and dazzling white light hanging over it, which has attracted everyone's attraction in the past. I really want to know what new drugs will be placed on the counter where such a big battle is going on. As for Ningxia Pharmaceutical, because it is the first time to participate, it has no exclusive counter and can only share a booth with some small pharmaceutical companies. Yi Tian is not in a hurry to show the efficacy of Shueji cream in front of the public. Instead, he takes Ning Shui to walk around the venue, hoping to see if there are the same kind of drugs and fight with each other. After all, only by comparison can we see the real effect. Yi Tian believes that any scar-removing medicine in the field can't be the opponent of Shueji ointment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the release stage of our new drug release conference. Let's invite all of you to show your new products this year. At this time, a host in suit and shoes came out, holding the microphone, sonorous and powerful. Rather snow-smell speech, immediately toward Yi Tian Wango, Ground is full of eager to try. Ladies and gentlemen, how about we leave the opening ceremony of this press conference to Jinling Pharmaceutical? But heaven wait for Yi Tian to open his mouth. Chen Fanfan has come over from one side, and after nodding slightly around, he smiles. Jinling Pharmaceutical is one of the leading pharmaceutical companies. Naturally, other pharmaceutical companies want to give this face. As soon as Chen Fanfan's voice dropped, other pharmaceutical companies, which had some initiative, immediately stepped back 2 steps. Thank you for your face. After the press conference, I'll treat you to a drink. If you don't get drunk, you won't come back. Seeing this, Chen Fifan smiles and bows his hand to the empty display cabinet of Jinling Pharmaceutical Company, Limited, which is illuminated by the spotlight. With Chen Fanfan's action, the bottom of the display cabinet immediately slowly opened, followed by a deep purple water drop-shaped porcelain bottle, slowly rising from the bottom of the display cabinet. The glaze on the outside of the porcelain bottle, under the light of the spotlight, radiates a brilliant light. It looks very luxurious and attracts everyone's attention in a moment. Mr. Chen, why does the product launched by Jinling Pharmaceutical look not like medicine, but like cosmetics? Yes, this bottle looks like high-grade cosmetics. Immediately after that, many onlookers and reporters from pharmaceutical companies asked Chen Fanfan. Ha ha ha, you really have brilliant eyes. When Chen Fanfan heard these words, he immediately complimented the people around him with a smile, and then said with pride, the new product launched by Jinling Pharmaceutical is a kind of scar-removing makeup. In order to develop it, our Jinling pharmaceutical industry has spent 10 years of painstaking efforts. It is not only a pure Chinese medicine preparation, which is natural and pollution-free, but also has a very good effect on removing scars. Even if it is an old scar, it will fade after 6 courses of application. I can say without hesitation that the effect of any scar-removing medicine on the market today can't be compared with it. Chen's special words to the last sentence, is more proud toward the position of Ning Snow and Leaf Day Station to see an eye. Before coming to participate in the release exchange meeting, their company had carried out research and judgment. As long as this drug is promoted and put on the market, it will sell well immediately. He believes that with the popularity of this product in the future, Ning Shui can definitely take the initiative to throw herself in her arms. Scar medicine? When Yi Tian and Ning Shui heard this, they couldn't help looking at each other, and then a strange smile appeared on their faces. Immediately after that, Yi Tian raised his eyebrows and said in a loud voice, "It's a coincidence that Ning's Pharmaceutical also launched a scar-removing makeup this time. You said that no one in Jinling pharmaceutical industry can match the scar-removing medicine, but I want to say that your product doesn't match our shoes." No shoes. When Yi Tian's words fell, the whole exhibition hall was in an uproar, and the eyes of all participating pharmaceutical manufacturers and reporters all fell on Yi Tian and Ning Shui. What is Jinling Pharmaceutical? It is one of the leading pharmaceutical enterprises in China, with strong scientific research strength. The scar-removing medicine developed by their family after 10 years of painstaking efforts may not crush all the similar products on the market, as Chen Fanfan said, but it is also absolutely impossible to give people shoes that do not match. Who is this young man? It's very fresh. Which company are they from? How dare they challenge Jinling Pharmaceutical? I'm not old, but I'm not young. Can I talk nonsense like that? Immediately after that, there was a lot of noise in the room, and many people whispered, or inquired about Yi Tian's details, or despised Yi Tian's statement. Ning's pharmaceutical industry has even focused on the cosmetics industry. Let alone these people. Even when Chen Fanfan heard Yi Tian's words, he couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, but just for a moment, his look returned to normal, and he didn't think it was strange. After all, with the improvement of people's living standards, more and more people are willing to spend money on their faces. To take the most obvious example, a few years ago, there were many girls walking on the streets of the city who didn't wear makeup. Now, almost 8 of the 10 girls wear makeup. Everyone has a love for beauty. For those who have scars on their face or body, the most desirable thing in their life is to get rid of these ugly scars. As long as the effect of this drug is good, even if it costs a lot of money, those who are troubled by scars will not care. Ning's pharmaceutical industry now has a large-scale cancellation of OEM orders. Capital constraints naturally want to set foot in an industry with fast money. However, although they are good at their wishful thinking, it's a pity that they run into their own Jinling pharmaceutical industry, which will only lead to a dead end. Haha, an agent factory dare to open up a product line of medicine and cosmetics, and dare to say such crazy words. You are really ignorant and fearless. I don't know. How long did it take you to develop this product? What is the effect? Read here. Chen extraordinary disdainous smile, mocking looking at Yi Tian and Ning Shui. Wei. It's a month. As for the effect, I just said that the scar-removing medicine of Jinling Pharmaceutical Company, Limited doesn't match our shoes. Yi Tianping smiles quietly. This kid is so arrogant. Chen Fanfan's face sank when he heard the news. If the R&D cycle is 1 month, you dare to sell it. I think you are crazy about money. If you want to rub the heat of our Jinling pharmaceutical industry, I advise you to go away. Closely following, Chen Fanfan seemed to drive away flies, and waved his hand arrogantly. It's not only Chen Fanfan, but also other pharmaceutical companies around him. After hearing Chen Fanfan's words, they also scoff at Yi Tian and Ning Shui. How hot are you? Our products can eliminate the old scars in 3 minutes. We need to rub your heat for such a good effect? Yi Tianru didn't see the look of those people around him. Looking at Chen Fanfan, he said with a faint smile. How long to remove scars? Say it again. When Chen Fanfan heard this, he was stunned, and then, like hearing a big joke, he looked at Yi Tian and asked again. Your ears don't seem to work very well, but I don't mind repeating it. 3 minutes. Our products are divided into two types. One is the ordinary one that can lighten the scar after 3 days of application, and can completely disappear after 1 month. The other is the special effect one that can remove the scar in 3 minutes. Tian is neither humble nor arrogant. He continues. 3 minutes to remove scar. 5 short words, let everyone in the room, like looking at a fool, look at Tian. They have seen people who can boast, but they have never seen people who can boast so much. There are countless kinds of anti-scar medicine on the market, but none of them dare to boast so much. Moreover, this speed is faster than the speed of laser scar removal in hospital. After all, it takes 3 minutes to hang up a number, right? 3 minutes to remove scars. I have never seen such a powerful medicine in my life. Come on, take it out quickly and let us see this kind of magic medicine. Chen Fifan is also out of breath with a smile. When it comes to the word divine medicine, he deliberately prolongs his voice. He thought that Yi Tian and Ning Shui were going to rub the heat of Jinling pharmaceutical industry, but now it seems that this guy who can even say such crazy words as 3 minutes to remove scars is a lunatic at all. So fast, it's not makeup, it's a panacea made by Immortals, right? It's no fun for us to try more. Take out your Jinling pharmaceutical model and let's make a comparison. Yi Tian looks at Chen Special to pick eyebrow to smile, light after a, then wait, you won't tell me, you even this compare to try the courage all don't have. Compare, who is afraid of who? If you can get rid of scars in 3 minutes, I'll stop the cosmetics production line of Jinling Pharmaceutical immediately. Chen Fanfan looked at Yi Tian's arrogant appearance, sneered twice, and mocked. However, if 3 minutes later, your scar medicine has no effect, then kneel in front of me and apologize to me in Jinling Pharmaceutical. As you wish. Yi Tianping smiles, then looks around and says, who would like to have a try? I'll try. A word fell, and immediately came out of the crowd, a middle-aged woman dressed in elegant, wearing a pair of sunglasses. With Boss Wei as the witness, no one dares to cheat in this contest. Yes, Boss Wei testifies that if anyone plays tricks on him, he will lose his life. At the sight of the middle-aged woman, the crowd around her nodded slightly. This middle-aged woman, no one else, is Wei Xiao, the owner of the largest private drug chain supermarket in China. If other people are on the stage, they may be the nurseries invited by Yi Tian and Ning Shui. However, as Wei Xiao, she is always the guest of honor of the chief executives of major pharmaceutical enterprises wherever she goes. As Ning's pharmaceutical industry is just a foundry, Ning Shui is not qualified to let her be in nurseries. If the effect of your products is not as good as you said, no matter what drugs your factory produces in the future, I will not be included in our purchasing list anymore. After Wei Xiao went on the stage, he first looked at Yi Tian and joked. What if it works? Yi Tian picks an eyebrow to smile, looking at Wei Xiao to counter-ask away. I have enough confidence. Wei Xiao looked at Yi Tian in some surprise, and then said, if the effect is really as good as you say, I'll make you an exclusive display cabinet at the entrance of every Sihai drugstore in the country. What do you think? Deal. Where is the scar on your body? Yi Tianping nodded, then looked at Wei Xiao and asked. Wei Xiao heard the sound, laughed and rolled up his 2 sleeves. Hiss. As soon as he saw the red and bright scars on Wei Xiao's arms, which were twisted and ferocious like centipedes, a low voice of air conditioning was heard. These scars have been around for 30 years. At the beginning, my husband and I didn't make a drug supermarket, but opened a barbecue shop. We were accidentally hit by a charcoal stove and burned. At that time, we didn't have money, so we didn't care about the scar. Now we have money, but the scar has been left for a long time. We used a lot of medicine, and it doesn't have any effect. Wei Xiao looked at the look of the people around him and sighed. Mr. Wei started from scratch, admirable. Hearing this, Chen Fifan bows to Wei Xiaogong in a hurry and flatters him. Don't worry. In 3 minutes, you won't have to worry about these troubles. At least, you won't have to worry about the scar on one of your arms. Yi Tian did not play those virtual, looking at Wei Zhaoping's static smile. Wei. Speak for 3 minutes and shut up for 3 minutes. Can you die without boasting? Chen Special sneers at nose, feel leaf day simply ridiculous arrived extreme. Young man, you have to think well, if it doesn't work, then all the drugs in your family can't be sold in my drug supermarket. Wei Xiao also reminds Yi Tian. I never think about things that can't happen. Hearing this, Yi Tian chuckled and put his hand into his pocket. He took out the unused porcelain bottle of shueji cream which had been refined in Ning's home last time and handed it to Wei Xiao. He said in a loud voice, "Give me 3 minutes and let you be beautiful again." Beautiful again. Wei Xiao looks at Yi Tian's confident clear eyes, and his heart beats. 3 minutes of perfect scar removal, you are even better than those who engage in micro-businesses and pyramid schemes. I've been in this business for so many years, and I haven't seen any regular drug company. If you can do it, I'll kneel down and lick your shoes. Chen Fanfan laughs repeatedly, dismissive. As he said, he has been in the pharmaceutical industry for so many years, and has never heard of any drug that can make such an immediate impact. And not to mention the scar medicine, even some painkillers, people want to have an effect after taking, they have to experience a period of absorption time, can't immediately, let alone the big problem of scar. You know, scars are not only dead skin caused by broken skin, but also pigmentation. What's more, the scar on Wei Xiao's arm has existed for 30 years. It's not only skin aging, but also pigmentation. This kind of scar is the most difficult scar to deal with by all the anti-scar drugs on the market. Normal scar medicine, even if it just makes these scars lighter, will blow to the sky. 3 minutes to remove a 30-year-old scar, this is a joke. Don't say is Chen extraordinary, even rather snow, at the moment on the face can't help showing the color of worry. Although the effect of shueji ointment is really stronger than expected, the scar on her body, compared with those on Wei Xiao's arms, is just like a pediatrician. She is not sure whether shueji ointment can reproduce the magical therapeutic effect on Wei Xiao. But looking at Yi Tian's confident appearance, although she is worried, she still suppresses the words of dissuasion. She can only pray silently in the bottom of her heart, hoping that she won't be disappointed. You mean what you say? Don't be afraid. Then Yi Tian hears the sound and looks at Chen Fanfan and says with a smile. Of course. If I dare not, I will be your grandson. Chen Fanfan sneered and said coldly, but if you can't get rid of it, you'll kneel down in front of me and slap yourself 10 times, and then you'll disappear from everyone's eyes right away. Although Chen Fanfan is very clear that this remark is not consistent with his gentle and elegant image, Yi Tiangong's arrogant attitude completely angered him and made him tear off his mask. It's a deal. Yi Tian light smile, cut nail cut railway. Mr. Wei, I think you can't wait now. Please apply the medicine quickly and let us see how you plan to justify yourself when the leather of their small factory is blown out. Chen Fanfan disdained to smile, looking at Wei Xiaodao. Then I'll start. Wei Xiaowen smiles at Yi Tian. He takes the porcelain bottle and opens the cork. Instead of rushing to smear it on his arm, he puts it in front of his nose to smell it. Sweet, it's cool, and it's a little floral. When the fragrance of shueji cream entered his nose, Wei Xiaowei nodded slightly. He was a little suspicious now, and felt that according to the smell, even if it had no effect, it would not hurt his body. 3 minutes to get rid of scars. It's a joke. How could there be such a magic medicine in the world? If there is such a medicine, then other manufacturers specializing in scar-removing medicine will be waiting for bankruptcy. Watching Wei Xiao begin to apply the ointment, the crowd around him talk and look forward to it. They stare at Wei Xiao tightly. After 3 minutes, the answer will be revealed. It's Chen Fanfan kneeling down to lick Yi Tian's shoes, or Yi Tian kneeling down in front of Chen Fanfan, slapping himself in the face, and then leaving the meeting. However, no matter what these people think, it is undeniable that the original release and exchange meeting of various pharmaceutical companies has now become a stage for Yi Tian alone. All manufacturers and reporters have gathered together to pay attention to the use of shueji ointment. 3 minutes went by, not to mention that the onlookers were looking forward to it. Even Wei Xiao, who was smearing the medicine, was uneasy. She admitted that after applying shueji cream, it was really comfortable, cool and moistening, and it made the place with scar itch, which made her look forward to it. But she was worried that when she pulled the film formed by shueji ointment, the ugly scars were still in place. Mr. Wei, it's time. Tear it off quickly. Let's open our eyes. Chen Fanfan sweeps his eyes. After time, he holds his hands in front of his chest and urges Wei Xiao with a sneer. It seems that he has seen the scar still after the medicine film is torn off. Tian kneels in front of him and kowtows and slaps in the face. Are you sure you can do it now? Would you like to wait a little longer? Even if it takes 30 minutes to remove scars, it's already a miracle medicine. Wei Xiao hesitated for a while, looking at Yi Tian, kindly reminded. Mr. Wei, Tarot. 3 minutes is enough. And Leaf Day, it is to behave than Chen extraordinary confidence even more full, smile bright Wei Xiao listens to Yi Tian's words and shakes his head in tears and laughter. After hesitation, he reaches out his hand to hold the edge of the film on his arm and gently pulls it. Seeing this, Chen Fanfan raised his head complacently. He felt that he didn't need to go to see the next situation at all, because 3 minutes to remove the scar is a nonsense that can't be completed. Even, he seems to have seen that Yi Tian leaves the venue in a hurry because of his failure. Ning Shui is forced to stand at the door of the venue and change her attitude after she goes out. With a light sound, the film was immediately torn off a corner. Wow, but when Chen Fanfan fantasizes freely and incomparably, along the periphery, suddenly comes a startled voice of pouring air conditioning. What are these people yelling at? Chen Fanfan hears the sound, eyebrows slightly wrinkle, in the heart rises doubt at the same time, it is faint to have a kind of uneasiness. Because, from the just exclamation, he did not hear the expected ridicule. On the contrary, the exclamation was more like a kind of shock from the bottom of his heart. What the hell happened? Chen Fanfan frowned and felt that something was not easy. He opened his eyes in a hurry and looked down at Wei Xiao's arm smeared with snow cream. How could that be? A glance once swept, Chen extraordinary immediately full-faced trembles of exclamation voice. I saw that Wei Xiaona's right arm, which was originally covered with ferocious scars like a centipede, was now invisible. Not only that, but even her dark complexion became white and delicate, which could be broken by blowing. It's like the skin has been remolded by the Lord of Creation. What the hell is this? How strange the effect is. Following closely, Chen Special raised a hand to rub an eye energetically, want to make sure the scene that sees in front of eyes, it is reality really, not illusion. But the more so, the more he couldn't believe his eyes. Yes. Oh, my God, in just 3 minutes, it was really successful. It's a miracle medicine, my God, if I hadn't just seen the scar on President Wei's arm, I really couldn't believe it was true. Damn, who pinches me? Let me make sure that this scene is real, not that I'm hallucinating. At this time, after hearing Chen Fanfan's voice, those people around who were stunned by the effect finally responded. They yelled and screamed one by one, and the noise surged into the sky, making the whole conference hall like a huge beehive. There was a lot of noise everywhere, almost lifting the ceiling. In just 3 minutes, the scar disappeared without a trace, making people experience a great transformation. Miracle! This is absolutely a miracle worthy of. And those of us have witnessed the birth of miracles. The crowd was boiling, and everyone's faces were filled with wonder and shock. No, it's really gone. Wei Xiao is also staring at his pink jade-like arm, which is as white as a jade. He is back to his youth 30 years ago. His eyes are full of wonder and excitement. He murmurs. Then he reaches out his hand and touches his arm gently. In a dreamy voice, he murmurs, my God, the scars are really gone. Even white. Is this still me? Click. Click. When Wei Xiao's words fell, those reporters immediately pointed the camera at Wei Xiao's arm, and kept pressing the shutter like crazy. Especially some female reporters, when shooting, their eyes showed a strong color of emotion. Chinese people regard white as beauty, and there is a saying that one white covers all ugliness. From ancient times to the present, I don't know how many girls have been carrying out the great cause of whitening one after another, but no matter skin care products or milk bath, the effect is very common. But now, Wei Xiaopian's dark skin, after applying Shueji cream, is as white as a new bone. Not only that, especially the delicacy of the skin, it seems that compared with a 20-year-old girl in her prime of life, it's absolutely not inferior. What does that mean? It shows that Shueji cream not only has miraculous effect in removing scars, but also has extraordinary whitening effect. Spend a share of money, but can have 2 kinds of huge harvest, this think is earned off. What's more, it means that even some girls without scars can buy snow cream to whiten their skin and make themselves fairer. How could that be? It's impossible. Chen Fanfan looks at this noisy scene, his forehead is already a layer of sweat. A little later, he suddenly looked up, covetous looking at Yi Tian and Wei Xiao, loud voice, you two are partners, deliberately acting, right? Yes, it's amazing. It's not acting, is it? It's a bit like that. I've lived so long that I've never seen such an instant medicine. 3 minutes to get rid of scars is either a miracle or acting. Chen extraordinary words fall, many people around immediately low echo. The effect of Shueji ointment is so magical that it subverts people's imagination. They can't help thinking more. Chen Fanfan, let your mother's shit go. Do you think as a mother, you need to be entrusted and acted for others? I can't get rid of the scar on my arm. Take your product and let me have a try. If it's so amazing, I'll admit that I'm too awe. How about that? Without waiting for Yi Tian and Ning Shui to speak, Wei Xiao raised his eyebrows, waved another arm full of ferocious scars, and roared. Yes, Mr. Wei's identity is begged by our pharmaceutical companies. How can she cooperate with others in acting? I've heard of Ning's pharmaceutical. It's just a foundry. How can I afford to hire Mr. Wei as a nursery? As Wei Xiao's words fell, the people around him immediately shook their heads and gave up their previous thoughts. Wei Shui is the boss of the largest drug chain supermarket in China. She has nearly 30% of the drug sales channels in her hands. How can she cooperate with others in acting? Chen Fifan is also mute by Wei Xiaoi, but he can't say a word of refutation. Wei Zhao's identity is beyond doubt. I'm the most reasonable person. Since you don't agree, I'll make you convinced. Yi Tian picks eyebrow to smile, light Wei, so good, with Wei Zong this arm do experiment, half wipe your medicine, half wipe our medicine, contrast effect, how, do you dare? Chen Fanfan's eyes twinkle. He wants to stem his neck, but now he knows very well that the effect of Shueji cream that Yi Tian takes out is really amazing, and his own similar products can't compare with others. If you compare them, you will only smash your own signboard, turning the previous investment in hard research in the past decade into a waste. The first batch of products on the production line waiting for the release of the exchange meeting and the raw materials prepared will also become a pile of useless waste. This kind of huge loss, even if Jinling pharmaceutical industry is big, but also some can't bear. What's more, he may also be kicked out of the management by the directors of Jinling Pharmaceutical immediately, which leads to a series of heavy losses. At that time, all his glory and respect will be gone. Why, dare not? The Leaf Day sees a shape, looking at Chen's special ridicule a smile, light Wei. Haha, our Jinling pharmaceutical industry does not compare with these heresies. Hearing this, Chen Fifan's eyes changed. He pretended to be disdainful and sneered. If you can't compare, just say that other people are devious and ridiculous. The Leaf Day disdains a smile, light Wei, since you don't want to take out to try, but I help you try. With one word down, Yi Tian strides toward the product display cabinet of Jinling Pharmaceutical. Haha, our display cabinet is made of bulletproof glass. If you want to open it, you are dreaming. Chen Fanfan saw Yi Tian's action and sneered. Click. But before he could say a word he heard a crack in the glass. Hearing this, Chen Fanfan turned his head and immediately saw that when Yi Tian's hand touched the glass of the display cabinet, the strong and extremely high-strength bulletproof glass immediately fell into pieces. How can it be? This scene let Chen Extraordinary suddenly stare big eyes, can't believe the lost voice Wei. You know, in order to prevent drugs from being stolen, the bulletproof glass of the display cabinet is specially made. Even if it is smashed with a hammer, it can't make a few marks. But now, Yi Tian just punched the hard bulletproof glass to pieces. If you didn't see this scene with your own eyes, who would believe it? Mr. Wei, since he thinks you are my babysitter, let's prove it to him. Half of the scars on this arm are from Jinling Pharmaceutical Company, Limited, and half of them are from us. At this time, Yi Tian handed Wei Xiao the beautiful medicine bottle of Jinling Pharmaceutical. No way. Seeing this, Chen Fifan was shocked. As soon as he stepped forward, he would reach out and grab it. Get out of here. The leaf day hand coolly a yang, then set Chen Special aside. Mr. Chen has just boasted that his products are so good, and he also said that I am a childcare worker. Today, I will be a childcare worker for Jinling Pharmaceutical Company for free to see if your medicines are really as good as you boast. Chen Fifen's words just now excited Wei Xiaoxin's anger. Looking at Chen Fifen with a cold smile, he unscrewed the bottle cap, poured out some milky liquid and applied it on half of the scar on his right arm. After that, she took snow cream from Yi Tian's hand and put it on the other half of the scar. Click. 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 With Wei Xiao's action, the reporters around him immediately raised their cameras to shoot madly. The representatives of other pharmaceutical companies also took out their mobile phones to take photos and record videos. It's over. It's all over. Seeing this scene, Chen Fanfan's heart suddenly sank, the blood color on his face instantly disappeared, and his forehead sweated like raindrops. He knew that, in the presence of these people, if Yi Tian's Shueji cream still works 3 minutes later, but Jinling's scar-removing medicine doesn't work at all, Jinling's gold-lettered signboard will be smashed, and the raw materials previously invested and prepared will become useless waste. As for him who led to such a big scandal, the board of directors of Jinling Pharmaceutical Company, Limited will kick him away like a waste disposal. He wanted to stop it, but unfortunately, he couldn't do anything at all. 3 minutes, fleeting. Yes. With the fall of Yi Tian's words, Wei Xiao didn't have any hesitation. He reached out and pinched the film on the side of Shueji ointment and pulled it hard. With a hiss, the half of the arm, which was originally covered with scars, has now become as smooth as before, without any flaws, and the skin color has become white and delicate. Next, Wei Xiao takes out 2 wipes and wipes off all the ointment of Jinling Pharmaceutical on his arm. When the ointment was removed, the scar remained, and the skin was also dark. Black and white, smooth as jade and scarred, visual impact between the two distinct, contrast can be described as bright to the extreme. It's a good idea to sell some junk. Wei Xiao looked at the half-remaining ferocious scar, and his face was full of speechless color. He looked at Chen Fanfan with a sneer, then raised his hand, threw the medicine bottle around Chen Fanfan's face, and said contemptuously, "This kind of rubbish, you'd better throw it into the garbage heap." Rubbish! Dump the garbage! Chen Special listened to Wei Xiao this mean words, only feel hot on the cheek, hate can't find a ground seam to drill in. At this moment, he finally understood what it means to compare goods and throw them away. However, it's a pity that he is the one who has to be thrown away. No, I don't know. I'm scared. With such a strong effect, Ning's pharmaceutical industry is going to make a big profit this time. With this kind of medicine alone, Ning's pharmaceutical industry is absolutely qualified to be one of the leading Chinese pharmaceutical enterprises. Jinling pharmaceutical industry is finished this time. 10 years of painstaking efforts have been destroyed. All the early investment has gone to waste. The overstocked products and raw materials have become useless waste. I'm afraid that the loss will be at least tens of millions of dollars. At the same time, the crowd around the venue sighed with emotion. While admiring the miraculous effect of Shueji ointment, many people cast sympathetic eyes on Chen Fanfan. Even if there is no such storm, the miraculous effect of Shueji ointment will cause a sensation as long as it is on the market, and it will even make the scar-removing medicine launched by Jinling Pharmaceutical Company have no share of soup. But such a huge loss must be borne by someone, and Chen Fanfan, who caused the storm, must shoulder the responsibility. Mr. Yi, do you have any cream left in your hand? Can you give me a little more? Let me get rid of the rest of the scar. Of course, if you can give me a little more, let me wipe on my face, it will be better, don't worry. Money is easy to discuss. You can make an offer at will. At this time, Wei Xiaozhen ignored Chen Fanfan, but looked at Yi Tian and prayed. In the past, when both arms were full of scars, she didn't feel anything, but now, 1.5 arms have no scars, and they are still white and delicate, which makes her feel that the remaining scars, how to hinder the eyes, incomparably hope that she can get more snow cream to remove the remaining scars. Of course, if you can get more, the cheek will also become white and delicate, remove aging, it would be better. Mr. Wei personally helped us make a name for Shueji cream. We are very grateful. If money is not enough, don't mention it anymore. All the people in the field think that Yi Tian will definitely open his mouth. When he kills Wei Xiao, Yi Tian shakes his head with a smile and hands Wei Xiao the rest of Shueji cream. Looking at the posture, he wants to give it away. Free? He gave such a precious ointment to Wei Xiao for nothing. Yi Tian's action led everyone in the meeting hall can't help a while dejected. No one thought that Yi Tian would make such a move. Since Mr. Yi is a happy person, I don't want to talk so much nonsense. We Tiancheng Pharmacy will first order 100 million yuan of Shueji cream. After it arrives, I will let all its drug supermarkets put Shueji cream in the most prominent position, and will make a series of promotion activities for it. Not to mention the people around, even Wei Xiao didn't expect that Yi Tian would give Shueji ointment to him. After being stunned, she looked at Yi Tian and laughed, stretched out her hand and said, I believe that with your ability, we will have more opportunities for win-win cooperation in the future. 100 million orders. Wei Xiao's words fell, and everyone in the meeting hall was distracted and trembled. You know, after a new drug goes on the market, the most frightening thing is not to receive orders. But now, as soon as Shueji ointment goes on the market, it even gets an order of 100 million. Such a good start is not only a huge benefit to Ning's pharmaceutical industry, but also means that the market is optimistic about this new drug. And after the shock, all people can't help but have a strong admiration for Yi Tian. Free to send a bottle of snow cream, in exchange for 100 million orders, this business, how to look at how cost-effective. Not to mention these people, even Ning Shui is adored. Looking at Yi Tian, his heart almost jumps out of his throat. Ning's pharmaceutical has never received such a large order since its establishment. She understood that this time, Ning's pharmaceutical industry will not only come back from the dead, but also embark on the road of takeoff never before. All this is because of Yi Tian. Without Yi Tian, she had no idea what she would be like now. Marry the disgusting Lin Feng? Or is it humble to ask Chen Fanfan for help? Mr. Wei, I have a word to repeat. The Shueji cream on the market is only an ordinary version. This special effect version will not be mass-produced for the time being. The ordinary version of Shueji cream, daub for 3 days, can dilute the scar, adhere to the use of a month, can let the scar completely disappear. Of course, the whitening effect is similar. If Wei always has doubts, you can find someone to test it first. Yi Tian shakes Wei Xiao's hand and says with a smile. No. I believe Mr. Yi. Wei Xiao shook his head and said with a smile. 3 days to fade the scar, a month to let the scar completely disappear. This effect may not be as good as the one she used at the moment, but has been able to crush all the anti-scar drugs on the market. Damn it! Damn it! Chen extraordinary 5 fingers pinch tight, gnash teeth, eyes full of envy, hate Kant and Yi Tian to a swap. An order of 100 million not only means that Ning's pharmaceutical industry can be brought back to life, but also a very difficult big order even for such a leader as Jinling Pharmaceutical. What's more, Wei Xiao's large order means that even if Jinling Pharmaceutical Company forcibly promotes the scar-removing medicine developed by them to the market in order to stop losses, it will only become a green leaf to set off Shueji ointment. Instead of stopping losses, it will lose even more. In other words, it's time for you to fulfill your promise, Mr. Chen. When Chen Fifan is furious, Yi Tian looks at him with a smile. I don't know what you're talking about. When did I promise you? Chen Fifan smell speech complexion a change, immediately deny. Are you kidding? He is also the boss of a listed pharmaceutical company. How can he kneel down and lick other people's shoes? So you're going to be a grandson. Yi Tian had expected that Chen Fanfan would not fulfill his promise. After a smile, he looked at him and said faintly. I'm just kidding. Chen Extraordinary looked flustered, urgent voice excuse Wei. At this moment, his intestines are almost green with regret. If he had known that the effect of this snow cream Yi Tian took out was so powerful, even if he was killed, he would never have made such a disgusting bet with Yi Tian. But unfortunately, there are no front and back eyes in the world. Before witnessing the powerful effect of Shueji ointment, even if he was killed, he did not believe that there would be such a magic scar-removing medicine as 3 minutes perfect scar removing. Mr. Chen, this is your mistake. You said you wanted to lick your shoes. How can you deny it now and say that you were just joking? Wei Xiao also looked at Chen Fanfan with disdain and mocked. Not only she, but also other people in the meeting room looked at the guy who didn't believe his words. It's Chen Fanfan who made a bet. Now he goes back and says it's just this guy who is joking. He has no doubt that if Yi Tian loses the bet this time, I'm afraid Chen Fankai will force him to fulfill the bet no matter whether Yi Tian is joking or not. Well, why do you say you are so dishonest and always force me to do something I don't want to do? The Leaf Day smell speech, lightly sighed to shake head, then one step by step to Chen's special walk. What are you doing? Don't mess about seeing this. Chen Fanfan can't help remembering the picture of Yi Tian smashing the toughened glass with one punch before. At the same time, he gives a wink to several bodyguards who follow him, indicating that they stop Yi Tian. Sir, I warn you, don't mess about. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude to you. See Chen extraordinary look in the eyes, the several bodyguards immediately will Yi Tuan protect behind, to Yi Tianling scold Wei. You warned me? Hearing this, Yi Tian shrugged his shoulders and looked at the bodyguards with a smile. As he walked towards Chen Fanfan, he learned their tone and said, I'll warn you, good dogs don't get in the way, don't stop. Otherwise, I will be rude to you. To tell you the truth, I'm rude sometimes, but I'm afraid of myself. Don't blame us for being rude, sir. The group of bodyguards saw that Yi Tian didn't mean to step back. They were still close to each other. Their eyes were cold. The bodyguard, who was the leader of the group, sold out with a lunge and grabbed Yi Tian's shoulder. Let's see who can be more impolite. Yi Tian sees this, light a smile, the hand is like driving a fly, toward the hand that the bodyguard probes to lightly wave. Click. In a flash, a crisp sound immediately rang through the entire conference hall. The bodyguard stretched out to Yi Tian's arm, and immediately became like noodles, lying down beside him, with bursts of shrill cries in his mouth. It is obvious that Yi Tiangong's seemingly random and incomparable move has already abandoned the bodyguard's arm. Bang! Bang! At this time, Yi Tian appeared in front of the remaining 3 bodyguards. Before they could see his specific actions, the 3 bodyguards, with big arms and round waists, suddenly flew upside down and hit the exhibition cabinet in the rear. They coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood before landing. Oh, my God! Who on earth is this guy? His skill is so powerful. There was an uproar in the conference hall, and all the reporters looked at Yi Tian in amazement. They could hardly believe their eyes. They really didn't expect that they would smash the bulletproof glass with a fist, break a big man's arm with a wave of their hand, and put 3 bodyguards with big arms and round waists face to face. This kind of scene, which can only be seen in kung fu blockbusters, can be witnessed in their lifetime. Well, I've already said that. I'm so rude that I'm afraid of myself. Why don't you listen to me and force me? Yi Tian sighed and went to Chen Fanfan. He stretched his feet forward and said with a smile, Mr. Chen, are you licking yourself? Or can I help you? You may not understand that I'm actually very helpful. Why don't I help you? Chen special gnashed teeth, stare at Yi Tian. Although he was very angry in his heart, he knew that he really had no room to resist the current situation. He is also very clear, don't listen to Yi Tian, this guy's words well, that so-called helping others must be changing the way to torture him, forcing him to lick his shoes. At this moment, there are only 2 roads waiting for him, either to lick Yi Tian's shoes honestly and lose face, or to be beaten violently and forced to lick Yi Tian's shoes and lose face. I can only think about it in my dream. In the meeting hall, the visitors from other pharmaceutical companies and the reporters were nervously watching the scene. Many people raised their cameras and mobile phones, waiting to capture the next wonderful picture. Chen Fanfan, general manager of Jinling Pharmaceutical, what a noble identity. But at this moment, he would kneel down to lick his shoes. Lick your shoes. As long as this video is released, it will definitely bring the hot search into the bag. So hesitant, it seems that I'm going to help you. At this time, Yi Tian looks at Chen Fanfan's twinkling eyes, smiles, raises his right foot and stands on tiptoe on the ground. Looking at the posture, he seems to be planning to kick it up and put it into Chen Fanfan's mouth. You don't go too far. Chen Fanfan clenched his fists and his eyes were full of blood. Although he yelled at the top of his voice, it seemed that he had lost the pride of being the chairman of a leading pharmaceutical company in the past, just like a wronged daughter-in-law. Schwa. But at the moment, Tian has been too lazy to talk so much nonsense with Chen Fanfan. His toes move and the soles of his shoes kick heavily on Chen Fanfan's mouth. Bang! One foot falls, Chen Fanfan directly raises his head and falls to the ground. On the face, which was originally elegant and white, there is a black and purple shoe print. At the same time, his lips are broken, and his blood is flowing. Without saying that, a few front teeth are scattered all over the ground. But at this time, Tian didn't let Chen Fanfan off. Instead, he strode forward, raised his foot, and thrust the toe of his shoe into Chen Fanfan's mouth where he lost his front teeth. In a flash, a strange smell of soil dust mixed with light odor and bloody smell immediately permeated Chen Fanfan's mouth. Licking shoes, really licking shoes. Today is a day to witness a miracle. Several reporters in the crowd, who were afraid that the world would not be chaotic, immediately cried with excitement. Click! Click! Then, flash and shutter sound one after another, began to shoot Chen Fanfan's face with shoe print, mouth was stuffed with a shoe sad picture. The trough. Why the hell are you so excited when I'm beaten? I like to see others being beaten so much. Why don't I come up and let that boy beat him up? Hearing these words, Chen Fanfan, who was deeply hurt and shivering all over, almost didn't spit out a mouthful of old blood. I wish I could jump on him and strangle those reporters who yelled and screamed, just angry at the same time. Chen extraordinary heart is more grief inexplicable, corner of the eye squeeze out a few drops of sour tears. He is also a beautiful man, but he never thought that one day he would be humiliated like this. In the future, before you want to bully or humiliate someone, think about the taste in your mouth today. After Tian lowers his head to Chen Fanfan and sweeps his eyes indifferently, he pulls his foot out of Chen Fanfan's mouth and rubs it on him. After wiping off those blood stains and saliva fog, he says coldly. Ning Shui hears Tian's words, the nose can't help getting a sour, the eye socket is hot. From Tian's words, she heard that Tian didn't do it for his own anger, but for helping him teach Chen Fifan. She was deeply moved by the feeling of being protected. From small to large, in addition to Ning Zhongshan, no one else let her have such a feeling. Take your men and disappear from my eyes at once. Closely following, Tian looks at Chen Fanfan, deep voice scolds away. Hearing the news, Chen Fanfan looks at Tian in awe. After a shiver, he struggles to get up, takes his bodyguards and other exhibitors of Jinling Pharmaceutical, and stumbles out of the conference hall like a lost dog. 3 hours later, the conference officially ended. After that, many pharmaceutical companies came up with new drugs, but Shueji ointment Juyu came first, and their new drugs were eclipsed, becoming the green leaves of Shueji ointment, especially several cosmetic companies, because just like Ningxia Pharmaceutical, they launched new scar-removing drugs, and even lost the courage to release new products not on, and a look of panic, just feel in front of the world has become a desperate gray. They understand that from now on, the market of scar-removing and whitening cosmetics will be dominated by Shueji cream. They can only pick up a little leftovers from Ning's fingers, and it depends on whether Ning's Pharmaceutical is willing to give them this opportunity. After all, even the ordinary version of snow cream, the effect is not comparable to them. If we take Shueji cream as the blueprint and launch a cheap version with less good effect, the low-end market they expect will no longer exist. In this state of mind, these participating enterprises constantly flatter Ning Shui, hoping that she can raise her hand and leave a way for her family. In short, Shueji ointment and Ningxia Pharmaceutical are the biggest winners of this release exchange meeting. There is no doubt that everyone knows that Ning's pharmaceutical industry alone has no ability to do so. All this is based on Tian. However, they really can't understand how a young man of this age can take such amazing drugs. After a long time, all the talents left. Ning Shui walked out of the door of the hotel, saw the sun above her head, and recalled the scene that just happened in the conference hall. She could not help but have an unreal feeling in her heart. For a moment, she couldn't be sure. What just happened was real, or she was dreaming. When her eyes fell on Tian, she couldn't help feeling confused. Like a ghost, she suddenly stood on tiptoe and pecked Tian's lips like a dragonfly skimming water. Again? Suddenly kiss, let leaf de a zhang, brain instant big. The last kiss, let Yi Tian today, feel some don't know how to see Ning Shui again. Even, because of this, he has some thanks to Chen Fan, if not this person jumped out, the situation will be very embarrassing. But he 10,000 calculate, also didn't calculate, rather snow unexpectedly in oneself came so a son. Thanks to Qin Luo's absence now, otherwise, when she recovers Ning Yao's memory, she doesn't know how to explain it to her. Sorry. And at this time, Ning Shui also finally recovered, hurriedly back at the same time, cheek red, hand swing, dry mouth toward Yi Tian repeatedly apologized. She really can't understand why she suddenly kisses Yi Tian. Maybe it's because she's in a good mood, or maybe it's because Yi Tian's help to her, or maybe it's because in her heart, I don't know when I started to plant Yi Tian's shadow. Nothing. Yi Tianbai waved his hand, laughed awkwardly and said, but your way of celebrating happiness is really special. Don't use it again next time. It's not good if my girlfriend sees it. Girlfriend? Rather Snow hears a sound, the facial expression can't help but get a zhang. She contacted Yi Tian many times, but she didn't see a girl around her, so she always thought Yi Tian was single, but unexpectedly, Yi Tian already had a girlfriend. This sentence, let her in the heart more embarrassed at the same time, is inexplicable a burst of sour. That kind of sour and astringent, just like the thing you like, was robbed by others. Sorry, I didn't know you had a girlfriend. Next time I won't, then we can celebrate in this way. Closely following, rather Snow looking at Yi Tianxiang squeeze out a smile, voice tremble more with some choking way. At the moment of utterance, even Ning Shui was stunned. Even she did not expect that when she learned that Yi Tian had a girlfriend, she would have a whimpering impulse. Nothing. Yi Tian pretended to be indifferent and waved his hand with a smile. He could hear the trill in Ning Shui's voice, and he couldn't help feeling sorry. But 200 years of cultivation, he and Ning Yao have experienced countless lives and deaths, from weak to strong. The feeling of mutual help and common weal and woe cannot be replaced by other girls. Therefore, he must tell Ning Shui that he has only Ning Yao in his heart, and can't delay a good girl. Ning Shui nods her head hard, and after holding back the sour and choking at the bottom of her heart, she looks at Yi Tian and asks, "What's your girlfriend's name? Why haven't I met her? Her name is..." Just as Yi Tian is about to say the word Ning Yao, along the front of the hotel, Qin Luoshan suddenly comes with a group of bodyguards. That's her. Seeing this, Yi Tian picks Qin Luo God with his chin, smiles, and then walks quickly to him. Why does this girl look so familiar? Ning Shui looks at Qin Luo God, and immediately feels that she seems to have seen the girl in front of her, but for a moment, she can't remember. What are you doing? I warn you, don't disturb Miss Qin anymore at this time. Several bodyguards around Qin Luo God saw Yi Tian coming, and immediately stood in front of Qin Luo God. Yi Tian, who was alert, said in a deep voice. Miss Qin? Yes. She is Qin Luoshan, the eldest lady of the Qin family in Jiangnan. As soon as Ning Shui hears this, she immediately understands why she feels familiar with Qin Luoshan, because she has seen a lot of news about this young lady of the Qin family on the internet. Harassment? But then, she grasped a more critical message. The current situation seems to be different from what Yi Tian said. If he is really a boyfriend and girlfriend, how can the bodyguard around Qin Luoshan say such words to him? Do you think it's harassment? Yi Tian doesn't pay attention to the bodyguards, but looks at Qin Luoshan with a soft smile. What can I do for you? Qin Luoshan didn't answer Yi Tian's question. He waved his hand and motioned the bodyguards to get out of the way. Looking at Yi Tian, he calmed down. She just frowned as she spoke. In recent nights, in her strange dreams, sometimes there will be a figure and some vague fragments of words. And whether it's the figure or the words, when she woke up and recalled, she felt that the figure and voice were very similar to Yi Tian. All these make her doubt whether there is a soul in her body, which is called Ning Yao, who is deeply tied to Yi Tian, as Yi Tian said. But if Ning Yao is the master of this body, what is she, the tenant of the bird's nest? Nothing. I just came here to do something. I met you by chance, so I said hello. Yi Tian chuckled, looked at Qin Luo God and said, have you had any dreams recently? I said that I am the god of Qin Luo, unique. The god of Qin Luo who has lived in this world for 24 years is not your Ning Yao. Even if I have a dream, it has nothing to do with you. When Qin Luotian heard the word dream, his face suddenly became cold. He looked at Yi Tian and said in a deep voice, "Today is my 24th birthday. I will hold a birthday party here, and many of my friends will come over at that time. You can come to the party, or you can ask them at the party whether I am Ning Yao or Qin Luo God." Birthday party. Yi Tian hears the sound, and his eyes suddenly move. He smiles at the corner of his mouth, nods to Qin Luotian, and says, "I'll bring gifts to your birthday party in the evening. I don't need any presents." Qin Luotian said indifferently, and then took a group of bodyguards to the hotel. After 200 years of cultivation, he had many birthdays for Ning Yao, but only when he first came to Fangsuan Lingyu, Ning Yao remembered it for 200 years. Even after that, they became the great friars of Yupu. When they mentioned this, Ning Yao would smile from the corner of her eyes. Perhaps, reappearing the scene of that birthday party can make Qin Luotian think of more memories of Ning Yao. Yi Tian looks at Qin Luo's back, his eyes change, and he makes a decision in his heart. "It turns out that your girlfriend is Miss Qin." And at this time, rather Snow walked to the Leaf Day side, eyes complex looking at the Leaf Day, slowly way. She listened to the conversation just now. From Qin Luotian's words, she found that Qin Luotian didn't seem to like Yi Tian, and even felt that Yi Tian regarded her as another person. This scene not only makes her feel sad for Yi Tian, but also makes her happy. Because, if Qin Luotian is not Yi Tian's girlfriend, then she may have a chance. What I like is her, but it's not her. It's a bit complicated. I can't explain it clearly in a few words. Yi Tian looked at Ning Shui with a smile, and then said, "I'll go first and prepare her a birthday present in the evening. It's okay for you to do the snow cream by yourself. I believe in your ability. You don't need to ask me everything." After the words fall, Yi Tian turns around and walks towards the parking lot. It's a bit cumbersome to reproduce the scene when he first celebrated Ning Yao's birthday in Fangsuan Lingyu. In order to restore all the scenes and let Qin Luotian recover the memory of that day, he had to prepare early. No matter what he didn't know, he really liked that Miss Qin. Ning Shui stares at Yi Tian's back. Her heart is full of bitterness. Even at this moment, she has some hope. Yi Tian's preparation at this moment can't play any role in the evening. In this case, maybe she can have a chance. "Ning Shui, how can you do this?" But soon, Ning Shui shakes her head hard. After driving these thoughts out of her mind, she scolds herself. She hopes that Yi Tian can like her, but it's definitely not for this reason. But soon, Ning Shui's eyes became dazed, and the two delicate eyebrows twisted into a knot in one's heart. How to make Yi Tian like himself? At the same time, Yi Tian has driven to the grocery market, bought a lot of things in bamboo poles, and returned to the rental house. It's done. 2 hours later, looking at the bamboo tube with a long twist, Yi Tian smiles and breathes a long sigh of relief. This is the gift he gave for Ning Yao's birthday in Fangsuan Lingyu. In addition to these, I want to give her another thing to protect her body. Immediately after that, Yi Tianxin says something, finds a black plastic bag to put away the bamboo tube, and then takes out the congenital spirit wood from the storage ring. With a flying sword, he cuts off a long part of the finger belly from the top, and then carves the field pattern to make an amulet. The amulet made of congenital spirit wood is 100 times more effective than Yi Tian's amulet made of peach wood in the past. It can be said that with this thing, Ning Yao is equal to a few more lives. It's just that amulets made of congenital spirit wood can be said to be extremely luxurious even if they are placed in the square-inch spirit realm. After all, this kind of thing, congenital spirit wood, is rare and precious. From this point, we can see that Yi Tian cares about Ning Yao in his heart. After everything is sorted out, Yi Tian sits in the eye of the array and begins to practice with his knees crossed. Time flies. It's 6 o'clock in the evening in the blink of an eye. Yi Tian drives to Nanhai Hotel. At this moment, in front of Nanhai Hotel, luxury cars like Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Lamborghini and Bugatti are everywhere. Although Yi Tian's Land Rover can be regarded as a luxury car, it doesn't stand out at all. The eldest miss of the Qin family in Jiangnan celebrated her birthday. Even though the place of the birthday party was not Jiangnan, but Nanhai, the local tyrants of Nanhai did not dare to slack off. After getting off the bus, Tian, dressed in casual clothes, was ready to go in with a black plastic bag in his hand. Who is this boy? Why did you come to Nanhai Hotel with a plastic bag? Are you going to pack up and take back the things you can't eat at the birthday party later? It's very cheeky of such people to come to Miss Chin's birthday. I'm not sure. This is an irrelevant person. I just heard that Miss Chin was going to hold a birthday party here, so I sneaked over and planned to eat and drink, then pack and take it away, so as to give my family something they haven't eaten in their whole life. When Tian saw the plastic bag in his hand, his out-of-place casual clothes, and many guests in formal clothes who came to the birthday party with exquisite gift boxes in their hands, they immediately showed a contemptuous smile. Stop. Today, there is a birthday party for distinguished guests here. No admittance. Tianjing is about to enter the gate. When two bodyguards hear the guest's words, they immediately come over and stop him, disdaining to say. See this scene, the guests around the face immediately show the color of fun, smilingly looking at this side, want to see how Tian is made difficult by the bodyguards, and then drive away. Tianchao glances at them and finds that they are very strange. He thinks it's Qin Luoshan, a new bodyguard for the security of the birthday party, so he doesn't know himself. I was invited by your lady to her birthday party. Tian light way. He can feel the vigilance and disdain in each other's eyes, but today he is here to celebrate his birthday. There's no need to make a big fight and make a happy thing more gloomy. The bodyguard glanced up and down at Tian and said coldly, You said that the first lady invited you. What evidence do you have? Tian's eyebrows wrinkle slightly when he hears the news. The bodyguards who went in before are all flattering, but their questioning to him is obviously low. But at this time, Tian saw Lang Ruyu walking in front of him. He raised his hand and said, Miss Lang. Mr. Yi. Lang Ruyu hears the sound and turns to see Tian. She quickly walks over and respectfully says hello. When she sees the bodyguard standing in the way of Tian Ho, she frowns and says, Mr. Yi is Miss Chin's guest. Let him in. Sorry, I didn't know you were Miss Chin's guest. When the bodyguard heard Lang Ruyu's words, he immediately nodded and bowed, and his face was full of flattering smile. Don't be embarrassed, you've been fired. Go and tell the director of your company to change the person. Cold as jade smell sound, or cannot know, this bodyguard just afraid is to make things difficult for Tian, complexion a cold voice way. Mr. Lang. The bodyguard was stunned and couldn't believe it. So you're fired? Not only the bodyguard, but also the guests who were full of sarcasm for a while. Lang Ruyu comes to meet Tian in person, which has surprised them. Now, Lang Ruyu fired the bodyguard directly because the bodyguard's attitude to Tian was not respectful enough. What does that mean? It shows that in Lang Ruyu's heart, this guy with a black plastic bag in his hand, dressed simply, looks like a guy who comes here to eat and drink. His status is very unusual. However, they really can't figure out which young people in Nanhai can get this kind of treatment. It's difficult because of their poor eyesight. Is this the son of a great aristocratic family who likes to play the role of pig and eat tiger in Jiangnan or Beijing? Mr. Yi, please come inside. At this time, Lang Ruyu fired the bodyguard, and then stretched out her hand to invite Tian. Tian nods and goes in with Lang Ruyu. Mr. Yi, this bodyguard was just invited from the security company to ensure the safety of Miss Chin, so I don't know you. Cold such as jade side take leaf day to go in, the side by respectful explanation way. It's okay. Next time we screen people, we'll look at their moral character in addition to their major. Tian naturally won't blame Lang Ruyu for such a trifle. He nodded faintly and said, You go and be busy. I'll just walk by myself. Lang Ruyu saw that Tian didn't seem angry. She was relieved. After nodding, she turned and left. When Tian came into the banquet hall, there were many people in it, talking in groups. However, as far as Tian is concerned, the people in Zhouqing are strange faces, so he finds a quiet corner to sit down and wait for the appearance of Qin Luoshan. Look over there, that guy came to Luoshan's birthday party, but he didn't even wear a suit and was carrying a black garbage bag. How could there be such a rude person? But at this time, a few young men and women who were laughing and chatting in a corner with surging youth, their eyes fall on Yi Tian, and then a lovely girl with two horsetails frowns and sneers. This girl, Yang Yu, is a senior high school classmate of Qin Luotian. Although her relationship with Qin Luotian was ordinary at school, in order to curry favor with Qin Luotian, she went from Jiangnan to Nanhai to celebrate Qin Luotian's birthday. Xiao Yu is right. This kind of person is really rude. Dressed like this and holding this kind of thing in his hand, he dares to come to the birthday party of Luotian. Why doesn't he pee to see if he's worthy? Immediately after that, a boy in full dress with oil head sweeps his eyes at Yi Tian, deliberately raises the volume and sneers. This boy, who is also Qin Luotian's high school classmate, is called Feng Lei. The Feng family is also a family in Jiangnan, but it's a long way from the Qin family. Since he was in high school, he always wanted to pursue Qin Luotian, but he didn't even look him in the eye. When he came to the birthday party this time, he was just trying to make a show to attract Qin Luotian's attention. The appearance of Yi Tian made him feel that he had caught a wonderful opportunity. Feng Lei immediately attracted the eyes of many people in the banquet hall. When he saw Yi Tian's simple dress, many people began to smile. Although there is a Chinese saying that people should not look up to their clothes, there are still several things that can be done in this world. Most people respect their clothes first and then others. This guy is so impolite, obviously he doesn't pay attention to Luotian. At the same time, when Feng Lei saw that the eyes of the people around him were converging, he felt a twinge of joy. He immediately raised his voice and said, "I'll sweep this impolite guy out of the house for Luo God now, so as not to pollute everyone's eyes. Come on, let's go together." Feng Lei's voice fell, and the young boys around immediately began to roar. Among the young boys present, except for the few who have been married, the rest of them have some ideas about Qin Luo God. At this moment, Feng Lei wants to find a soft persimmon to be in the limelight. Which of them doesn't want to get involved? What's your name? Who invited you to the birthday party? Soon, a group of people come to Yi Tian. Feng Lei takes a condescending look at Yi Tian. He holds his hands in front of his chest and looks proud. How many people do you think can invite people to this birthday party? Yi Tian takes a casual look at Feng Lei and asks coldly. I've heard these people's conversation for a long time, but I'm just too lazy to pay attention to them. But now that these people come to trouble themselves, although he doesn't want to disturb the birthday party, he can't be a soft persimmon. Luotian kindly invited you to her birthday party, but you didn't even wear a formal dress. Is there anyone you don't respect like this? When Feng Lei hears Yi Tian's words, he can't hang on his face immediately. He hums coldly and asks. Before I came here, Luotian didn't tell me to wear formal clothes for the birthday party. Besides, who told you that only formal clothes are respectful? Yi Tian disdains to smile and asks. Although he was wearing casual clothes, he was clean and tidy, with no disheveled clothes and no disrespect for people. What's more, Feng Lei said so much that he just wanted to find a way to belittle him. Good. Let's not talk about clothes. What's the matter with this black garbage bag in your hand? Take such a thing to the birthday party. It's still black. I don't think you're coming to the birthday party of Luotian at all, but to disgust her on purpose. Feng Lei's face changed. Seeing that Yi Tian's oil and salt didn't enter, he tore off his mask completely and pointed to Yi Tian. Get out of here while I'm in a good mood. Looking at the angry Feng Lei, Yi Tian's brows wrinkled and immediately spread out. The tree wants to be quiet, but the wind doesn't stop. He just wants to let Qin Luotian get back more memories of Ningyao by reproducing the scene of that year. He doesn't want to provoke right and wrong, but there are always some people who don't want him to. Feng Lei, Yang Yu and others were all stunned. No one thought that a guy dressed so shabby and simple would dare to let them go. Feng Lei, it seems that people don't take your words seriously. Brother Lazy, it seems that people don't pay much attention to you. Let's get out of here. I think it's you. Go away. A moment later, these people wake up from their astonishment. After that, they either look at Feng Lei playfully and make fun of him, or look at Yi Tian with a gloomy face and yell angrily. You want me to go? I think you'd better go first. Feng Lei's face sank when he heard the teasing of people around him. He suddenly raised his foot and stepped heavily on the black plastic bag beside Yi Tian. He really didn't expect that this poor guy in front of him would dare to be so arrogant. Instead of showing his face in the public, he lost himself. Even if he wanted to break out, give Tian some color and get back the face he just lost. Give face, don't be shameful. Tian sees Feng Lei's action. His eyes are cold and his hands are shaking. When he puts away the black plastic bag, he kicks Feng Lei with the same foot. Bang! In a flash, his legs collided with each other heavily. With a dull sound, Feng Lei fell to the ground, then held his legs and said, "Ah!" The miserable howl of, that originally because of anger and red face, also instant no blood. Look at him, the leg he just kicked out is obviously broken. You should listen to my advice and get out of the way. After Tian takes back his leg indifferently, he looks at Feng Lei who howls miserably on the ground and says faintly. He didn't want to see the same thing as this kind of fly, but he didn't know how to see it, and he wanted to crush his carefully prepared gift, which naturally made him intolerable. However, it's Tian who just kicks off Feng Lei's leg. Seeing that he is just an ordinary person, he has some forbearance. If he is a mountain man, what he wants is not a leg, but a life. How can you be like this? Feng Lei just said a few words about you, and you even fought against her? At the same time, Yang Yu, with a pair of horsetails, looks at Feng Lei's appearance. After being stunned, he looks at Tian with righteous indignation and says, "Are you blind? Can't you see the kick he just gave me?" Tian glanced at Yang Yu and said faintly, "He didn't kick you, he just wanted to step on the garbage you brought." Yang Yu stubbles his neck and says in a loud voice, "That appearance, as if to eat certain, because he is a woman, but also a little beauty, so Tian because of pity, will not do to her." Garbage? This is a gift I carefully prepared for God Luo. If someone wants to step on something you have carefully prepared, will you agree? Tian frowned and said with patience, "Well-prepared gifts?" Yang Yu disdain smile, disdain way, "I really can't see, take this kind of garbage bag things, will be what carefully prepared gift, you quickly don't sophistry, it will make people laugh to death. Do you think I won't beat you, that's why you dare to talk such nonsense?" Tian listens to Yang Yu's rude and unreasonable words and looks colder and colder. You are a big man who wants to beat a woman. You are not only impolite, but also a gentleman. It's a pity that Yang Yu didn't see that Tian was already a little impatient. As soon as he heard this, he immediately covered his mouth with exaggerated hands, deliberately raised his voice and exclaimed, "Shua!" A language falls, in an instant, the eyes of all people in the banquet hall immediately cast toward Tian, and the eyes are full of disdain and disdain. You are so stupid. Tian ignores those eyes, gets up to look at Yang Yu, light way. You, what do you want to do? You are a big man. Do you want to beat a woman? Seeing this, Yang Yu pretended to be scared and pitiful. He held his hands on his chest, shivering and looking around with a layer of water mist in his eyes, hoping to get help from others. An old man wants to beat a woman. Boy, are you still a man? Stop it. You are a big man, how can you treat a little girl like this? Stop, or we'll be rude to you. In a flash, the boys around him immediately surrounded Tian, one by one fierce. It seems that as long as Tian dares to touch Yang Yu half a finger, he will rush up and beat him. Thank you, thank you. I knew that there must be good men who don't beat women in the world. Yang Yu pretends to be pathetic. After thanking the boys, she turns her head and glances at Tian. The eyes seem to say, "See, the charm of my mother is so big, as long as you squeeze 2 tears, you can attract countless free bodyguards. Boy, I warn you, stop right now, otherwise, we will not be polite." Yang Yu this way, more aroused those men's desire to protect, rushed forward, pointed to Tian's nose, coldly way. In a few words, you will be teased away. Have you never met a woman? Tian coldly looks at those people and sneers. Boy, you want to die. Those men hear Tian's words, the cheek immediately swells red, roll up sleeve, will teach Tian. Stupid. Tian shakes his head indifferently and moves. With a dull bang-bang sound, the boys who come out to fight against injustice immediately fall to the ground like Feng Lei. Ouch, ouch, they howl miserably. Immediately after that, Tian stepped out and came to Yang Yu. What do you want to do? I'm wrong. Please, will you let me go? As long as you let me go and let me do anything. This scene let Yang Yu directly shocked, the body trembled after shaking, looking at Yi Tian, cry for mercy. Everything is fine. When Yi Tian heard the speech, he looked at Yang Yu with a sneer and said coldly, do you think you can do whatever you want if you are a little more beautiful? Sorry, in my eyes, except for Ning Yao, you are all shit. Ning Yao? Who is that? People smell speech, a burst of dejected, can't think out Yi Tian mouth of that girl is who. In fact, you're right. I really don't beat women, but just because I don't beat women doesn't mean I won't punish those women who have done wrong. But just at this time, after Yi Tianling said, he reached out and grabbed Yang Yu's clothes. After grabbing her from the ground, he dragged her for a few steps. With a shake of his hand, he stuffed her into the kitchen garbage can which was pulled out from the kitchen. All of a sudden, Yang Yu's whole body was engulfed by garbage. When she reappeared, she was already covered with green vegetable leaves on her head, banana skin on her feet, fish scales on her horsetails, and red and black blood and ashes on her proud cheek. At this moment, her whole body, where there is a little bit of a girl's appearance, on the contrary, even the beggars she usually most despised even worse. Even if Yang Yu didn't go to see it, he knew what he was like at the moment. As soon as his heart came out, he began to cry at the top of his voice. What is the origin of this young man? He is so skillful, and he has no pity for Jade at all. As for the people around, although they feel that Yang Yu is crying bitterly, they can think of the means before Yi Tian. They can only sit and watch one by one. They don't even have the courage to get Yang Yu out of the garbage can. Oh, what is it for? How lively at this moment, along the door of the banquet hall, suddenly came a lazy and pondering voice. Han Xiao. Han Xiao, you are here too. Then, along the door, there was a cry of surprise. Yi Tianyu glances at him, and immediately sees a young man standing at the door, who is richly dressed, handsome, and always has a smile on his mouth. Behind him are three respectful, two-handed attendants. This appearance and style, to a plug-in idol drama, is the rich second-generation hero. How can Han Xiaofeng miss the birthday of Luoshan? Although some things are delayed a little bit, we are still in a hurry from the capital. Young people smile at the surrounding arched hands, words with a Beijing film flavor, witty way. Han Xiaofeng. Yi Tian hears the young man's name, and his eyes are slightly awe-inspiring. When he searched Qin Luoshan on the internet before, he found Li Fang Yuan and another guy pursuing Qin Luoshan, whose name is Han Xiaofeng. However, compared with Li Fang Yuan's high profile, Han Xiaofeng is much more low-key. However, Han Xiaofeng's low profile does not mean that he is an ordinary person. On the contrary, his Han family is one of the four major families in Beijing, and he is the legitimate son of the Han family. In the future, he will become the owner of the Han family and inherit the huge business of the Han family. It's so busy here. What's the matter? At this time, after greeting some familiar people around, Han Xiaofeng glances at Yi Tian. When he sees Yang Yu in the garbage can and those crying parents on the ground, he frowns and looks at the people around him. Those who are familiar with Han Xiaofeng just want to say something, but when they hear the cry, they immediately shut up, smile at Han Xiaofeng, and then cast their eyes on Yi Tian. It seems to have something to do with this friend. I don't know what caused you to fight so much that it destroyed the festive atmosphere today. Han Xiaofeng is not an ordinary person either. After seeing this, he goes to Yi Tian with a faint smile on his face. But in his words, he means to start a crime. Go away. Yi Tianping looked at Han Xiaofeng quietly and said faintly. Coax. Yi Tian. A language falls, the guests of the whole banquet hall are stunned, one by one dumbfounded looking at Yi Tian. When Yi Tian said that to Feng Lei before, people thought Yi Tian was arrogant, but they thought it was okay. After all, Feng Lei is not a member of a family, but his family is a little better. But who is Han Xiaofeng? He is a member of the Han family in the capital. He has a high status. In the ranking of the four families in the capital, he is second only to the Li family, and it's just a little less. But even so, there is no doubt that for several times in China, no young man is qualified to say the word roll to Han Xiaofeng. But now, a little-known young man in Nanhai City said this word to Feng Lei. This guy is really arrogant. Although the smile on Han Xiaofeng's face did not change, a sharp cold light like a knife flashed across his eyes. Fauber. The next second, his hand behind him gently beckoned. You're very lucky. Today is Miss Luoshan's birthday. Han Xiao doesn't want to have a big fight. He immediately apologizes to Han Xiao, and then get out of here. I can consider not fighting against you. As Han Xiaofeng's words fell, an old man with white hair and long eyebrows came out immediately behind him. Standing in front of and behind Yi Tian's body, he exuded a strong smell of the midterm mountain people of the prefecture level. What if I say no? Yi Tian's face is not sad or happy, and he looks directly into Fubo's eyes as if he doesn't feel the breath of the other person. In fact, when Fubo entered the door, he had already found out that the other party was from the mountains, and it was the middle of the prefecture level. This cultivation, perhaps not vulgar, but for him, who had already died in the middle of several prefectural levels, it was really nothing. This guy is really arrogant. Fubo looks at Yi Tian's appearance, and thinks in his heart. Meanwhile, his expression is suddenly cold. Then I'll have to throw you out. At this time, when Fubo saw Han Xiaofeng nodding slightly to him, he didn't have any hesitation. He reached out to Yi Tian's shoulder and tried to grab Yi Tian's shoulder and throw him out of the banquet hall. Boy, I think I'm so crazy that I don't know who I am. You'll know yourself clearly later. Han Xiaofeng looks at Yi Tian with a sneer in his heart. He seems to have seen the sad picture of Yi Tian being pinched by Fubo and thrown out of the banquet hall. Ha! But the next second, he could not help but be stunned. After Fubo's hand fell on Yi Tian's shoulder, Yi Tian's feet were as still as if they had roots on the ground. This boy is also a mountain man. It's not only Han Xiaofeng, but also Fubo, who was shocked when he saw this scene. Although he just took out 5 points of strength, he felt that even if it was just 5 points of strength, it was enough to catch Yi Tian and throw him out. But who could have thought that he failed in this catch? Boy, I don't know. I have some skills. Then try again. Fubo Yu Guang glances at Han Xiaofeng's frown. Without any hesitation, he pours strength into his hand and grabs Yi Tian's shoulder again. Look! Miss Luoshan is out, but just then, along the crowd, there was a cry of surprise. In a flash, everyone's eyes immediately looked toward the entrance of the banquet hall. After scanning, they all showed a strong color of intoxication. At the moment, Qin Luoshan is wearing a long white skirt and a crown with shining diamonds on his head. He looks like a real princess from a fairy tale. Qin Luoshan is so beautiful that people can't move their eyes. Let alone men, even many women feel ashamed when they see this scene. Fauber, let go. Han Xiaofeng was obsessed with looking at Qin Luoshan. Then he turned his head and said to Fubo in a deep voice. Then he looked at Yi Tian and threatened in a low voice, Boy, you're lucky. I can spare you now. But I can tell you clearly that even if you leave now and hide at the ends of the earth, you have to pay for what you said wrong today. You will also pay for your mistakes. Yi Tianping glanced at Han Xiaofeng quietly and said faintly. My fault? What did I do wrong? Han Xiaofeng looks at Yi Tian doubtfully. Some don't understand the meaning of his words. But soon, he thought that Yi Tian's mistake might be because he wanted to drive him out. Then he turned his head and looked at Qin Luo. But, Han Xiaofeng were no, in fact, even if he does nothing, his name has already been Yi Tian in his mind on the small book, must be hard to clean up a meal. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend my birthday party. I would like to express my most sincere thanks to you. At this time, with the help of Lang Ruyu, Qin Luoshan walked slowly to the front of the crowd. He was graceful, smiling and bright. In a flash, all the young men who came to the birthday party were astonished, and many of them were almost spitting in their eyes. Luoshan is my woman. These guys who want to touch her are all wishful thinking. Han Xiaofeng saw the scene, his fists clenched involuntarily, as if there were two groups of flames beating in his eyes. Birthday party, from now on, I hope you can have a good time tonight. At the same time, Qin Luoshan, with his skirt, squatted down slightly and made a curtsy to the crowd. Whoa, Qin Luoshan's words fell, and the applause immediately rang out. Immediately after that, a middle-aged man came out of the crowd, holding a purple brocade box in his hand, and walked to Qin Luotian with a smile. After opening the brocade box, he said with a flattering smile, "Miss Luotian, I'm Hu Zhongming of the Hu family in Nanhai. This pair of pendants is my birthday gift to you. I wish you every year today and every year today." That pair of pendants, the whole body is lavender, ing run dripping, a look is to know that it is not any product. This is the purple eye in jadeite. It's very rare. It's just a pair of pendants. It's at least 500,000. In order to curry favor with the Qin family, the Hu family really made a lot of money. Soon, the guests who had studied the jewelry and jade in the venue immediately cried out in a low voice. A word fell, many people on the floor immediately speechless, only feel eye-opening. "Thank you, Mr. Hu." There was no surprise on Qin Luotian's face. He politely took the box with both hands. After thanking him, he handed it to the bodyguard not far behind him. Obviously, in the past birthday party, this kind of gift has already been known to Qin Luotian. "Miss Qin, I'm Fongjin of Tonghai Software. I bought this ruby at the auction. From the first sight I saw it, I felt that no one in the world is more suitable for it than you." Then, a young man in his 30s got up, walked forward and backward, took out a beautifully packaged brocade box with brocade, walked forward and backward to Qin Luo God, gently opened the brocade, and in the white velvet box, there was a bright red gem like pigeon blood, shining brightly and dazzling in the light. "Dove blood ruby, this is a rare gem among rubies. It's estimated to be more than 1 million. Soon, there was another exclamation. However, most people are just shocked by the price. They are not surprised that Fongjin will give this precious gift, because Tonghai Software is one of the Qin family's industries. On the birthday of our eldest daughter, we should not be too shabby. Thank you." Qin Luotian politely thanks, also took it and handed it to the bodyguard behind him. Then, one after another, guests came forward to present birthday gifts, including pearl necklaces, gemstone bracelets and other gifts. All the gifts, even the worst, cost about 100,000. "Happy birthday, Luotian. In the past, you didn't like sports cars or jewelry I gave you on your birthday, and I didn't think those vulgar things were worthy of you, so I found this for you this year." A moment later, Han Xiaofeng looked around and saw that the gift givers had almost gone up. Then he strode forward to Qin Luotian. He took a small and exquisite box out of his pocket and handed it to Qin Luotian. This box is obviously made of the above fine red gold. It is inlaid with various kinds of exquisite gems. The light is shining, and there is a layer of light and fog around it. It's what we usually call pearly jewels. As soon as the luxurious box is taken out, everyone's appetite is immediately aroused. "I want to see how precious the gifts are in such a gorgeous box." Qin Luotian frowned and opened his lips, and he wanted to refuse she can accept other people's gifts, because those gifts may be of high value, but they are either business partners of the Qin family, or people who are looking for help from the Qin family, or they are directly at the helm of the Qin family's downstream enterprises. The gifts given by these people are all from the Qin family. They can give back equivalent gifts through other channels, or on New Year's holidays, or on the birthdays of their relatives, but Han Xiaofeng's gifts are different. He can't give back the gifts he gives. Not only that, she knows very well that Han Xiaofeng's intention of giving gifts is to pursue himself. Unfortunately, she has no feelings for Han Xiaofeng. "Since I don't like it, I can't accept the gift from this person." Therefore, in the past, no matter what gift Han Xiaofeng gave her on her birthday, no matter how precious it was, she declined. "Luotian, you will like this gift." But without waiting for Qin Luotian to speak, Han Xiaofeng interrupted her and opened the lid of the box. When the lid was opened, a flash of blue streamer came out along the lid. That appearance, straight let a person feel, Han Xiaofeng's hand, seemed to be holding a jumping blue flame. This strange picture makes the whole audience quiet in an instant. Everyone's eyes are attracted by this strange blue fire, especially the girls in the room. Even Qin Luo's eyes were dull for a moment. "God, is this the heart of sky blue? Isn't that the heart of sky blue? Dream diamond, the dream of all women, the enemy of all men. The diamond is blessed by the gods. God, I didn't expect to see this legendary diamond with my own eyes in my lifetime." After a long time, some discerning guests in the banquet hall immediately recognized the origin of the blue fire and exclaimed, "Luotian, this heart of sky blue was sold by me at an auction in France. It is said that every woman who gets it will always keep a good face and harvest a good love. From the time I saw it, I felt that this diamond was specially made for you by heaven and earth, so even if the final offer reached 20 million, I still photographed it." Han Xiaofeng listened to the admiration of the people around him. He couldn't help smiling. He handed the box to Qin Luotian. At the same time, he made an affectionate appearance and said, "Luotian, this sky blue heart is my heart for you. And I believe that there is nothing in the world that can express my heart more. This time, I hope you will accept it anyway." My God! How luxurious and romantic! I'm going to cry 20 million, fight beauty a smile, why no man to me to do such a thing? Although I'm a man, if someone is willing to send me sky blue heart, I'd like to be with him too. The crowd was noisy, and everyone was deeply shocked by Han Xiaofeng's words. Even, they already feel as if they have seen the picture of Qin Luotian accepting the diamond and promising to be together. 20 million big diamonds, used as a birthday gift to show love, such a devastating move, a few girls can resist. Haha, a diamond is nothing but a piece of carbon. If you want it, you can get it from 10 Jin to 8 Jin. It means that there is nothing in the world that can express your heart more. Just as Han Xiaofeng was waiting for Qin Luo to be moved by his expression, Yi Tian's indifferent voice came from behind him and said, "Frog in the well. Carbon. 10 Jin, 8 Jin. Frog in the well." Yi Tian's 3 words made the banquet hall roar. In an instant, all people's eyes fell on Yi Tian. If it wasn't for Yi Tian's strong skills, I'm afraid many people would have made sarcastic remarks about his boasting of not paying taxes. The composition of diamond is indeed carbon, but this carbon is not that carbon, such as breaking a cocoon into a butterfly, flying into the sky. As for 10 Jin and 8 Jin, that's even more ridiculous. You know, the biggest diamond in the world is only 3,106 carats. More specifically, the palm size of an adult man weighs only 600 grams. 7 or 8 Jin, 3 or 4 kg diamond, even if it is boastful, it is not so boastful. Of course, compared with the former two, Yi Tian's disdain for Han Xiaofeng as a frog in the well is even more ridiculous. Han Xiaofeng was born in the Han family. He is used to seeing big scenes. There are basically no rare things in the world that he has never seen. If such people are still frogs in a well, they will be frogs in a well all over the world. But how do these people know that diamonds are really precious to ordinary people, but for practitioners, they are really ordinary goods? As long as Yi Tian's cultivation breaks through the 6th floor of the cave, he can have the ability to escape earth and fire. At that time, he can completely close his breath and escape to the depths of the earth to pick diamonds. According to Yi Tian's experience in Fengsu and Lingyu, there are a lot of diamonds inside the stars. As long as you have enough ability, you can find big ones of 7 Jin, 8 Jin, 10 Jin and 20 Jin. Not only that, if Yi Tian's cultivation reaches the Longmen realm, he can even make large diamonds by himself with his mastery of fire Taoism. As long as the raw materials are enough, no matter how large one is. Not to mention, if you make a breakthrough on the internet and come to Yuanying or Yupu, you can travel in the starry sky. The vast starry sky covers everything, not to mention 7 or 8 kilograms of diamonds. Even some planets are directly made of diamonds. It's not a problem to cut with a flying sword and get 100 or 10 kilograms of diamonds. If I can't express my mind about the sky blue heart that the frog from the bottom of the well gave to Luotian, I don't know how precious the gift you gave to Luotian is, you who claim not to be a frog from the bottom of the well? Don't tell me that you will keep such a precious thing in such a garbage bag. Han Xiaofeng smelled speech, eyes a cold, satirical face toward Yi Tian in the hands of the black plastic bag after aiming at the eye, ridicule way. My gift to God Luo is 1,000 times more precious than yours. But it's not convenient here. Let's go outside. Yi Tian smiles faintly, then looks at Qin Luo God. What the hell is this guy doing? Qin Luotian frowned. She didn't expect that Yi Tian had prepared a birthday present, but she didn't expect that either. She just took out a gift, and Yi Tian asked to go outside the banquet hall. Well, let's all go out and have a look. Qin Luotian wanted to refuse, but he saw Han Xiaofeng next to him. He felt that if he refused Yi Tian, Han Xiaofeng might think he was interested in him, and then he would have to fight hard, so he nodded. Soon, all the people in the banquet hall went out. Light out. After walking out of the gate of the banquet hall and coming to the beach outside, Yi Tian rushes to the staff. Hearing the speech, a group of staff immediately turned their eyes to Qin Luotian. Seeing this, Qin Luotian nodded slightly and asked those staff to do things according to Yi Tian's statement. Pada! With the sound of the button, the beach, which used to be as bright as day, suddenly became dark and dark. At this time, Yi Tian goes to Qin Luotian, carefully opens the black plastic bag, takes out a bamboo tube with a long twist, and carefully inserts it into the ground. Why does it look familiar? People around look at Yi Tian's action, frown slightly, always feel that this thing looks familiar. However, just from the appearance, it seems that in any case, it can't be compared with the sky blue heart. Click. But just then, Yi Tian took out a lighter from his pocket and lit the twister on the bamboo tube. Hiss hiss bang wow. In a flash, along the bamboo tube, there was a small red fireball. When it was about 1 person high, it suddenly burst open and turned into a small bright spot. Then it fell like rain. Ha 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 ha, isn't this a fucking fireworks? What's more, your fireworks are so pure that they can only fly so high. It's such a rotten thing, and it's worth the chicken feather you just blew? Dare you say it's better than my sky blue heart? Han Xiaofeng looked at the bright on. After a long time, he raised his head and laughed wildly. His tears almost came out. Not only Han Xiaofeng, but also other guests are looking at Yi Tian playfully. Yi Tian gang has just belittled Han Xiaofeng. They originally thought that the gift Yi Tian brought out would scare people. But who can imagine that this guy actually made a firework, and it's still such a defective firework? This is my present for you. Do you like it? Yi Tian didn't pay attention to these people's words, but looked at Qin Luo God with a clear smile and said slowly. This is indeed a fireworks, and there is no way to compare with the fireworks sold on the market. However, this is indeed the first gift Yi Tian gave Ningyao for her birthday in Fangsu and Lingyu. It's ridiculous to say that in the square-inch spiritual realm, there are countless strong people, who are able to cultivate all over the world. There are even more prosperous scientific and technological civilizations than the Earth, but there are no fireworks. The fireworks that Yi Tian had set off for Ningyao was the first time for the whole square-inch spiritual realm. Of course, in addition to the first time, but also because the fireworks set off, is the time of two people's commitment. Although the fireworks are small and the color is few, the love between them lasts for 200 years. It is just like this, such a small fireworks, will let Ningyao never forget for 200 years. Boy, do you think Luotian is a village girl who has never seen the world? She'll eat your crappy tricks? Do you know that when Luotian used to celebrate his birthday in Jiangnan, he would put off fireworks for 9 nights every time? Fireworks, and even every year, will attract many tourists to Jiangnan View. Those fireworks, even the worst, are millions of times better than you. When Han Xiaofeng heard Yi Tian's words, it was more like he heard a big joke. At the same time, he turned to the staff around him and said in a loud voice, turn on the light immediately. Bang! Bang! Han Dishao's prestige, not everyone dares to resist, hear his words, those lighting division, immediately pressed the key, will just extinguish all the lights, all light up. Joke, I advise you to disappear from my eyes as soon as possible, otherwise, even if you want to leave later, you can't leave. Han Xiaofeng scoffed at Yi Tian. After laughing, he turned to Qin Luotian and said, Luotian, what do you think of this guy's poor fireworks? But before he finished his sentence, Han Xiaofeng's face suddenly became dull. Then he looked at Qin Luotian in amazement and said, why are you crying? Qin Luo is crying? Having seen so many firework shows, now seeing such a poor firework show will make her cry? Han Xiaofeng's words fell, and everyone's eyes immediately fell on Qin Luo God. As soon as we could see, on Qin Luo's cheek, there were some crystal clear tears shining in the light. What's more incredible is that Qin Luotian's eyes look at Yi Tian straight. There is no dislike in his eyes, only strong emotion and deep sadness. That kind of eyes, like a pair of lovers, across the mountains and rivers, trillion light-years later, finally meet again. Cry. She was moved to tears. Damn it. Han Xiaofeng looks at Qin Luoshan's tears in his eyes. His fingers creak and creak. The smile on his face solidifies instantly. At the same time, his heart feels as if he was stabbed 7 or 8 times in an instant. The blood is flowing like a stream of blood, and it hurts his heart. He hated himself, but now he found that Qin Luoshan, who was used to the big scene, liked this simple tone. If he had known this, he would have made some fireworks and put them in front of Qin Luoshan a few years ago, which moved her to a mess and made her return home. Where could Yi Tian be left? Yaoer, do you like it? Yi Tian looks into Qin Luo's eyes. For a moment, he feels like life and death. After the double universe, Ning Yao stands in front of him again and mumbles. He felt that at this moment, the soul dominating Qin Luo's body belonged to Ning Yao. In other words, the present Qin Luo god is Ning Yao. Qin Luoshan didn't say a word and didn't correct Yi Tian's name. He just nodded with tears in his eyes. Yao Er? Han Xiaofeng frowns tightly. Don't understand Yi Tian. This address is how to return a responsibility. He knew Qin Luoshan very well. He had never heard of Qin Luoshan having such a nickname. But strangely, Qin Luoshan didn't deny it. Yaoer. Yi Tian is completely sure that Ning Yao is the master of Qin Luo's body. His nose is sour. Then he opens his arms and walks towards Qin Luo, trying to hold her in his arms. Grass, what are you doing? Don't you see that this rubbish gift you sent makes Luo God cry? Han Xiaofeng saw Yi Tian's action, immediately flashed in front of Yi Tian's body, opened his eyes to tell lies, and rebuked him coldly. Get out of here. Yi Tian has only one idea in his heart at the moment, that is to hold Ning Yao in his arms. Seeing Han Xiaofeng's blocking, he looks cold and waves his hand. Then he pulls Han Xiaofeng aside and falls to the ground heavily. Then he made great strides to Qin Luo God. Don't come here. Don't come here. But at this time, Qin Luoshan suddenly raised his hand and stood in front of him. The other hand pressed his temple tightly, and his brow twisted into a knot, like his head suffering violently. Damn it, the part of Ning Yao and Qin Luo God's body has disappeared again now. Seeing this, Yi Tian's eyes suddenly changed and he glanced at Han Xiaofeng fiercely. It's hard for him to wake up the part of the Qin Luo God that belongs to Ning Yao. But it's only for such a short time. It's just because of Han Xiaofeng's interruption. How can he not be angry? Why do I cry? Why do I cry? Why do I feel very moved in my heart, and I also feel that this scene seems familiar, just like I experienced it once a long time ago. Is there really another soul in my body? I'm not me. I'm just a vassal of the girl named Ning Yao. Qin Luoshan pressed his head, which was so painful that it seemed that it was about to split. His brow was tight and his mind was full of thoughts. Boy, you dare to hit me. You are really tired of living at this time. Yi Tian raised his hand and pulled it to one side of the ground. Han Xiaofeng, who fell into a dog's excrement, angrily looked at Yi Tian, stretched out his hand and pointed to him, gritted his teeth and yelled angrily. At the same time, Fubo steps forward quickly, his eyes firmly fixed on Yi Tian, and his body chi bursts out, just like a cheetah about to jump out to hunt. It's light to beat you. I advise you to put away your paws. Yi Tian glances at Han Xiaofeng indifferently, then coldly. Fubo. When Han Xiaofeng heard this, he gritted his teeth and looked angrily at Fubo to die. Seeing this, Fubo's eyes were cold. He immediately took out 10% of his strength and came to Yi Tian's body in one step. Then he raised his fist and hit Yi Tian's chest heavily. The dead and the dead. Yi Tian looks at Fubo with ridicule, raises his hand lightly, and holds Fubo's hand like an eagle grabbing a chicken. For a moment, Fubo felt that he had taken out the whole arm with 10% of his strength. At the moment, he couldn't make any effort to enter. His fist, which was pinched in the palm of his hand by Yi Tian, was as if it was going to be broken one by one. His accomplishments are even higher than those of the prefecture level. How could he have such a high level of cultivation at his age? All of a sudden, Fubo was confused and tried to withdraw his fist. Unfortunately, the more he struggled, the more his fist pinched in the palm of his hand by Tian would crack, such as bones rubbing against each other and finally breaking into powder. I'm a master of cultivation. I've offended a lot. I'll give up. Please don't play. Please spare my life. The next second, Fubo's face suddenly changed. Without any hesitation, he knelt down on one knee and looked at Tian sincerely. Cultivation is one level higher than death. At the moment, he already knows that Tian is not joking. He who rashly shoots at Tian is really desperate. What are you doing, Fauber? Han Xiaofeng was startled and looked at Fubo in surprise. In his opinion, Fubo's strength is extremely strong. But now, Fubo's fear of Tian seems to have reached the point of respecting the gods. He couldn't understand this scene. Young master, make amends to the elder quickly. Fubo hears the sound, turns his head in a hurry, looks at Han Xiaofeng, and says in a deep voice. He knows that Tian, a master like him, can't be provoked not only by himself, but also by Han Xiaofeng. If such a character really wants to embarrass Han Xiaofeng, I'm afraid she can be crushed to death just by raising her fingers. Han Xiaofeng was so stunned that he could hardly believe it. What he heard in his ears came from Fubo, who thought he was extraordinary in the past. Bang! But just then, in the air far away, a low warble suddenly sounded. The sound of the gun. Someone wants to be assassinated. Tian's five senses are astonishing. Although the voice is extremely subtle, he still captures it. His eyes flash and his mind spreads. He immediately catches that there is a bullet spinning at a high speed in the air, which is rapidly approaching. According to the trajectory calculation, the final target is Qin Luo God. Luotian, this is my second gift to you. Go on. Without any hesitation, Yi Tianqian made a move and threw the carved talisman to Qin Luotian. Seeing something coming, Qin Luo instinctively held the talisman in his hand. At this time, Yi Tian pinched the seal formula with both hands, and suddenly hit the talisman of congenital spirit wood with a touch of magic power. In a flash, the field array in the talisman of the congenital spirit wood was opened, a touch of green light was flashing, and a clear air swept across the whole field quickly, which shocked everyone's spirit and made them feel refreshed and full of vitality. This is the secret of the congenital spirit wood. The wood property contains vitality. Even if Yi Tian only engraved the defense array in this congenital spirit wood, its essence still has the ability of moistening vitality and improving the body. Moreover, the aura of the congenital spirit wood is so strong that not only the wearer of the amulet can feel it, but also the people around the wearer of the amulet will feel refreshed, and even feel close to the wearer. Bang! At the same time, the bullet has come to the field with a roaring sound. After passing through the goblet held by a young girl, the strength of the bullet has not been weakened. It is still with a spiral airflow, speeding towards Qin Luo God. Ah! Someone's shooting bullets. This is a bullet, there's a killer. Some people want to kill people. Let's run away. Bullet shuttle, in an instant, outside the banquet hall is a mess, all of us screamed and ran around. Especially the girl whose goblet was pierced by bullets in her hand turned pale. After her legs trembled, there was a sound of water between her legs, and there was a big wet mark on her blue trousers. It's over. Qin Luotian stared at the bullet and tried to dodge, but it was too late. Even now, she felt that she had seen the picture of herself being shot in the head and falling to the ground. But at this time, an incredible scene suddenly happened. Bang! When the bullet was close to 1 meter in front of Qin Luotian's body, Qin Luotian's congenital spirit wood amulet suddenly opened a light green barrier. Although the barrier was only a thin light curtain, when the bullet landed on it, everyone's vision was dull. After the warhead collided with the light curtain, it didn't tear apart the light curtain as many people thought. Instead, it was blocked by the light curtain, and the warhead suddenly became flat with the speed visible to the naked eye. Finally, all the impact kinetic energy was exhausted, turned into a thin piece of copper, and suddenly fell to the ground. Just as the warhead landed, the light curtain dissipated as if it had never existed. If it wasn't for the fact that the copper pieces made of warheads were still on the ground, everyone in the hall would almost feel that the strange scene just now was just their group illusion. My God, this what's going on? It's incredible. What happened to that light curtain? Is God Luo really a fairy? Is there a spirit to protect her from bullets? This scene let the group of people running around all lost their mind, staring at Qin Luo God. His face is incredible. When the bullet came, it couldn't get close to the body. Instead, the bullet itself turned into a piece of copper and lost all its kinetic energy. Such a picture, if not seen with my own eyes, who dares to believe that all this will be true? Not only these people, even Qin Luoshan himself, had been stunned, staring at the front. His face was unbelievable. When she saw the bullet coming, she thought she was dead. But who could have imagined that a light curtain would suddenly appear, counteracting all the kinetic energy of the warhead, and turning it into copper to block the disaster for her? It's the amulet. But at this time, Fubo's face suddenly showed a touch of enlightenment and exclaimed, "Magic weapon. It's a defense weapon." Next, Fubo's eyes were fixed on the amulet. His eyes were full of blazing color. It seemed that he was looking at a rarer treasure than the sky blue heart. It's Yi Tian who gave himself this amulet to protect himself? Qin Luoshan was stunned and looked at the amulet in his hand. At this time, she suddenly felt that when she was holding the amulet, she was not only fresh and calm, but also relieved, as if she had been protected. "Fauber, what are you talking about? What magic weapon? It's a rotten piece of wood. There's no way to compare it with the sky blue heart I gave to Luo God. Don't talk nonsense here." Han Xiaofeng hears the news and looks at Fubo in a hurry, hoping that he will shut up. "Rotten chips? If it's rotten wood, I'll take as many as you have." "Han Xiaofeng, I'm really attached to your Han family, but don't forget that I'm not your Han family's dog. Don't yell at me here. To tell you the truth, your sky blue heart is rubbish compared with the magic weapon of the elder generation." Fubo hears the sound and sweeps his eyes coldly towards Han Xiaofeng. He has now fully understood that Yi Tian is not a big man he can afford. If he comes out for Han Xiaofeng again, he may not even be able to save his life, so he has to cut with this guy immediately. Besides, his words are not false. The heart of sky blue is precious, but it's just an ornament. To put it mildly, it's just a beautiful carbon block. But what's the magic weapon? It's a treasure that can save people's lives. These two cannot be compared at all. To compare them is to insult yourself. You. Han Xiaofeng really didn't expect that Fubo would dare to refute himself, and he said that his sky blue heart was rubbish. He was so angry that he turned pale and gnashed his teeth. Bang! But just then, another low shot rang out, and then a bullet came whistling. However, just like the previous warhead, when it was close to Qin Luo, the light curtain reappeared, counteracting the kinetic energy of the warhead, grinding it into a thin piece of copper and slamming to the ground. Trash, does your sky blue heart have such ability? Seeing this, Fubo turned to look at Han Xiaofeng and said coldly, "No way, how could it be? It's just a piece of rotten wood." Han Xiaofeng lost his mind and looked at the copper on the ground. After a long time, he couldn't believe it and murmured. But at this moment, no one paid any attention to him. Everyone's eyes were focused on Yi Tian. His eyes were full of blazing and moving colors. What do rich people fear most? Death, of course. Because, for them, in this world, there is nothing more painful than money is still there, people are gone. The amulet that Yi Tian gave to Qin Luo was undoubtedly the best thing to protect his life. Although the sky blue heart is so precious that it is worth 20 million yuan, it still has a price, but life is priceless. Even at this moment, many people have begun to think about whether to contact Yi Tian and see if they can get some life-saving amulets from him. Come into the banquet hall, let the trusted bodyguard protect you, don't let anyone near, I'll go and have a look. Yi Tian has no time to pay attention to those people's thoughts at the moment, and says a word to Qin Luo God, who was stunned on the spot. After hearing this, Qin Luoshan woke up and waved to several bodyguards who had been with him for many years. Then he was surrounded by them and quickly returned to the banquet hall. When Yi Tian saw this scene, he was slightly relieved and immediately rushed to the office building beside Nanhai Hotel. Just when the second shot was fired, he locked the location of the killer and was on the top of the office building. Yi Tian's action is very fast, just a few ups and downs, he is rushed to the hotel, straight to the office building. As soon as he got to the opposite of the office building, he saw a guy with a big black backpack and a cap on his back coming out of the office building and walking to a car parked on the side of the road. Stop! Yi Tian didn't have any hesitation. He immediately looked at the guy and yelled. As soon as the words fell, the cap immediately lowered its head, quickened its pace and got into the car. If you want to go, there's no way. When Yi Tian saw this, his mind moved. The fierce sword suddenly appeared in the palm of his hand. As soon as he raised his hand, the sword flew out and directly cut it on the front wheel on the left side of the car. Whoa! A sword fell, just like cutting on tofu. With a long breath, the tire was directly cut in half by a sword, and the car sank. It was obvious that there was no way to drive. At the same time, Yi Tian jumps over the road more than 3 meters wide, and appears in the driver's seat of the car. As soon as he reaches out, he penetrates the bulletproof glass and drags the absent-minded killer out of it. Say, who sent you here? If you don't say it, the next place to penetrate is not your shoulder. Yi Tian shakes his hand and smashes him heavily on the roof of the car. He grabs it again. Sheng pulls a piece of metal skin off the roof of the car and stabs it into the killer's shoulder blade. He cheers coldly. The assassination just happened to be very dangerous. If it wasn't for his presence and amulet in his hand, I'm afraid Qin Luotian would have to bleed 3 feet today. Therefore, he should not only punish the killer severely, but also find out the person behind the scenes. If not, I don't know what will happen to Qin Luotian in the future. Qin Feiyang. The killer looked at Yi Tian, who was standing in front of him in awe like a god from heaven. He hesitated and trembled. He gave me $1 million, let me kill Qin Luo. Qin Feiyang? It's the people of Qin family who want to kill Qin Luo. Hearing this, Yi Tian was stunned, and his eyes were full of amazement. This result, he did not expect. Now the Qin family are looking forward to let Qin Luotian marry Li Fan Yuan to eliminate the disaster for the Qin family. Before the disaster was eliminated, how did the people of the Qin family choose to fight against Qin Luo God? Is it because of the great changes in the Qin family that Qin Feiyang is so crazy? Repeat what you just said. Yi Tian takes out his mobile phone and points it at the killer. He says in a deep voice. I was sent by Qin Fei to assassinate Qin Luo God for $1 million. The killer shivered and looked at the camera with fear. He repeated what he had just said. Brush. After Yi Tian nodded his head, he saw that there were passers-by around him. With a frown, he took the toxin extracted from the storage ring, hid it into the killer's nose and mouth, and then turned to leave. Tian Cinco toxin is mysterious. This guy won't live for a few days after being poisoned. 2 minutes later, Yi Tian went back to the banquet hall and saw that Qin Luotian was safe under the protection of several bodyguards. He was relieved. Then he nodded slightly to her, indicating that he had taken the killer. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to my birthday party. Today's event has surprised you. I'm really sorry. I declare that the birthday party is over. Seeing this, Qin Luotian gets up and looks at the guests in the room with a sigh of relief. The group of people in the banquet hall immediately turned and left. Ding-ling-ling, but at this time, Qin Luotian's mobile phone suddenly rang. When she got through, her face suddenly changed, and she exclaimed, "Impossible! How could that be? Before I came out, it wasn't all good. Something happened to the Qin family." When Yi Tian heard Qin Luo's words, his eyes moved slightly, and everything suddenly became clear. It is obvious that the situation of Qin's critical illness has not just happened, but has been suppressed by the Qin family for some time. As for Qin Feiyang, he sent killers to kill Qin Luotian to clear up the obstacles of dividing the inheritance and inheriting the Qin family. Look at the news. The old man of the Qin family is critically ill. Just 120 cars have entered the courtyard of the Qin family, bringing him to ICU. Master Qin is suddenly in critical condition. Isn't the Qin family going to be in chaos now? 73-84, the King of Hell doesn't invite him to go. Mr. Qin is 3 out of 70 this year. I'm afraid it's not so easy to pass this pass. At this time, some guests in the banquet hall who are going to leave suddenly pick up their mobile phones and scream. Immediately after that, everyone's eyes suddenly focused on Qin Luogod. In his eyes, there were sympathy, coveting, and a lot of fun. Master Qin used to value Qin Luoshan, but now he is critically ill, but he is not around. Who can be sure if there will be any accident when Master Qin closes his eyes? It's hard to say that Qin Luoshan, who is thought to be the future successor of the Qin family, would have nothing left. After all, this kind of thing is common in these big families. For hundreds of millions and even more, these people have no bottom line at all. Prepare the private plane immediately, contact the airline, I want to go back to Jiangnan. At this time, Qin Luoshan had no time to pay attention to the eyes of those around him, but looked at the bodyguards around him and said in a deep voice. When bodyguards heard about it, they immediately began to step aside, make phone calls, contact planes, and deploy routes. Luoshan, don't worry. I'll go to Jiangnan with you. With the help of the Han family in the capital, the Qin family won't take the Qin family's property away from you. Seeing this, Han Xiaofeng turned his eyes and hurried to Qin Luogod. He said solemnly, just like a Prince Charming who wants to protect the princess. Mr. Han, I appreciate your kindness. I don't like this diamond. Please take it back. Besides, you don't have to give me any birthday presents in the future, because I don't like you either. When Qin Luoshan heard Han Xiaofeng's words, his eyes suddenly showed a touch of disgust. After returning the brocade box with the heart of sky blue to Han Xiaofeng, he said word by word. I don't like you. Han Xiaofeng stood there, his head humming. At this moment, he doesn't have to look back at all. He can imagine that all the guests coming to the birthday party in the hall at this moment may have a mocking smile on their faces, and what he thinks in his heart is a sentence. Even if you are such a proud son of the Han family, there will still be a woman who makes you hot and cold. I'll go to Jiangnan with you. Miss Lang should have told you that my medical skills are fairly good. Maybe I can help with Mr. Qin. At this time, Yi Tian stepped forward, looking at Qin Luogod, sincere way. He can see that what Qin Luoshan cares about is not the position of the head of the Qin family, let alone the property of the Qin family. What she cares about is the life and safety of the old man of the Qin family. Qin Luogod heard Yi Tian's words, but he couldn't help hesitating and looked at Yi Tian more. Good. Thank you, but after a little silence, Qin Luoshan nodded and said thanks to Yi Tian about Yi Tian's treatment of Lan Ye. She has heard Leng Ruyu say it. There are many unimaginable things in it. Even Leng Ruyu, who has a cold personality, speaks of these things with admiration and shock. Mr. Qin has always been in good health. Before she left Jiangnan, the old man was still in good health. Now she is in critical condition. She thinks there must be something strange in it. Such a disease, the doctor may not be able to treat, but Yi Tian may have a way. You're welcome. Yi Tian shook his head, followed Tang Luoshan, and then walked out of the banquet hall in a hurry. Although he and Mr. Qin are not masked, from the information on the internet in the mouth of others, he can feel that Mr. Qin is really good to Qin Luo. Qin Luoshan is Ning Yao. Ning Yao appeared in the secular world ahead of time. If Qin Laozi didn't treat him so well, I don't know how much he would suffer. Yi Tian should pay back this kind of human feelings. Damn it! Damn it! Han Xiaofeng looks at Yi Tian and Qin Luoshan's back as they leave. His fingers are pinched tightly, his forehead is blue, his eyes are red, and his voice is hoarse. Yi Tian is not only in the spotlight on the birthday ceremony, but also at the moment he proposes to help Qin Luoshan, but he is hot and cold, but Yi Tian and Qin Luoshan go together, which makes him look like a joke. I don't think he has ever suffered such humiliation. Think of a way to kill this smelly boy and let him know what it will be like to offend the Han family in Beijing. Soon, the corner of Han Xiaofeng's mouth raised a ferocious radiance and sneered. The killer was sent by Qin Feiyang, right? At the same time, after Yi Tian and Qin Luoshan go out and get on the bus, Qin Luoshan suddenly breaks the peace between them and looks at Yi Tian and says, I'm sorry. Yes, that's him. Yi Tian nods and sighs in his heart. He is worthy of being one with Ning Yao. As expected, he is extremely intelligent. In an instant, he clears his head and thinks of the identity of the culprit behind the scenes. Sure enough. It seems that my grandfather's incident this time is by no means an accident. Qin Luotian got a positive answer from Yi Tian's mouth. He gave a bitter smile and his eyes were full of loss and worry. Qin Feiyang is the eldest son of the Han family. According to the general rules of the big family, if there are no boys in the big family, the family will generally give the eldest son of the Han family to inherit. However, the Qin family is an exception. Qin's father is not very satisfied with his grandchildren. He not only dotes on Qin Luotian, but also looks like he wants to cultivate her as an heir. Qin Feiyang has always had a strong resentment about this. Before the Qin family had nothing to do, Qin Feiyang was in good health, and Qin Feiyang could not do anything. But now the Qin family is in turmoil, Qin Feiyang naturally has some ideas that should not be moved. However, what worries Qin Luotian is that she doesn't know the situation of Qin Laozi and can't determine the safety of the old man. Even now, like Yi Tian, she suspects that the old man's critical illness is not an accident, but someone's intentional murder. In that case, she was not sure whether those who harbored evil intentions would take advantage of the fact that she had not returned to Jiangnan to make more frenzied actions. Relax. But when Qin Luotian was worried and wished he could step back to the south of the Yangtze River, Yi Tian looked at her with a peaceful smile, and then said, "With me, don't be afraid of anything. With me, don't be afraid of anything." Although the volume of Yi Tian's words is not big, it can be introduced into Qin Luotian's heart, but it makes her uneasy heart become calm in a moment. She feels that everything is not as tense as she imagined. After a long night, you have a rest. When you get to the airport, I'll call you. Next, Yi Tian looks at Qin Luotian and says in a warm voice. Qin Luotian nodded, then leaned against the back seat and closed his eyes. She knew that when she returned to Jiangnan, there would be a fierce battle waiting for her. Only now that she had enough spirit, could she meet the storm with the best appearance? The trouble at the birthday party and the passing of death made Qin Luotian's mental state extremely tired. She just closed her eyes and soon became a little dizzy. Half asleep and half awake, Qin Luotian suddenly felt that he had come to a strange battlefield. And her whole person, as if in midair, looking down at what happened below. Blood and fire intertwined, countless people rushed forward one after another, but waiting for these people, it is a fierce light, as well as the waves of terror. The earth was torn apart, the mountains were collapsing, and the rivers were red with blood. Not only that, in the sky, there are countless thunders hovering, but these thunders are completely different from the thunders she usually sees, and the colors are colorful. Moreover, thunders are like eyes, closely following those underground people in pursuit. Every thunder falls, a fresh life is taken away. In addition, what she couldn't understand was that he was just a spectator. When he looked at all this, he felt sad and inexplicable, like being slaughtered with a knife. It seems that everyone below has a very close relationship with her. Yaoer, go. Let's go, but just then, along her back, there was a cry of pain. The sound is so familiar. At the moment of hearing the sound, Qin Luo couldn't help looking back. As far as he could see, there was a sea of thunder and lightning, and the whole area was flooded with blazing thunder. But in the depth of that area, there was an air that made her palpitating, concerned and trusting. Today, none of you can leave. The blessed land of Qingming will turn into scorched earth then, along the front of the body, a clear but full of angry voice rang out. When Qin Luo turned his head and looked forward, he immediately saw that there were 8 huge figures in the void ahead. Each figure was as high as a god, and she was almost out of breath. But inexplicably, at the moment of hearing this, she felt that she had made a decision in the bottom of her heart. She turned her head uncontrollably and threw a brilliant but sad smile at the place where the familiar voice had come before. Yaoer, no. At this time, along the back of the body, the owner of the pain roared, as if aware of something, want to stop her. My love, goodbye forever. But she was not moved, just a sad smile, and then resolutely rushed to the 8 gods-like figure. In the blink of an eye, countless thunders, countless terrifying and blazing chi engines, and even many weapons shining with all kinds of strange lights, flying in the air, like a blazing rainstorm, roared to her, and in the blink of an eye, her body was annihilated. Yaoer, Yaoer. And from behind her, there was a constant roar of pain, word by word, such as tearing her heart and splitting her lungs. When she heard it, she felt that if her body was going to be split, tears would flow from the corners of her eyes. It's at the airport. What's the matter with you? But at this time, along her ear, suddenly a familiar call sounded. Qin Luo opened his eyes and saw Yi Tian in front of him. In a flash, Yi Tian's voice coincided with the painful roar in his dream. Then, she found that her eyes were full of tears, her cheeks were wet, as if she had been sobbing for a long time, and when she woke up, she still had a very sad feeling in her heart. But what she can be sure of is that when she dreamt in the past, what she dreamt was some vague fragments. Rarely, like this time, the content of the dream was so specific and clear. What have you done to me? Qin Luo's mind reaches here and looks at Yi Tian warily. He says in a deep voice. She suspected that the reason why her dream was like this was probably related to Yi Tian's presence. I saw that you were crying all the time just now. I thought you were worried about Mr. Qin's affairs. I called you twice, but you didn't answer. I just woke you up. Yi Tian calmly looked at Qin Luo God, explained, looked at her and said, Are you dreaming again? What did you dream about this time? This guy, maybe he didn't do anything. Qin Luoshan stares at Yi Tian. Seeing that he doesn't look fake, he stretches out his hand to open the door and says faintly, Get out of the car. Let's go back to Jiangnan as soon as possible. Yi Tian saw that Qin Luoshan didn't want to talk, so he didn't ask any more questions. He got out of the car with her and rushed to the private plane that had stopped in the airport. A 100-legged insect is still dead but not stiff. What's more, the Qin family, which is just a huge impact, naturally still has a great influence. Not long after Yi Tian and Qin Luoshan got on the plane, the approval of the route had already been answered, and they directly flew from the South China Sea to the south of the Yangtze River. With the roar, the plane took off and rushed into the sky. Qin Luoshan looked at the dark night outside through the engine room window, but he didn't feel sleepy, or dare not close his eyes again. She didn't know what would happen if she kept dreaming like this. Perhaps, in his own body, there will really be the soul of Ning Yao. At that time, is she Qin Luoshan or Ning Yao? At the same time, Jiangnan City, Yejia Manor. In the luxurious conference hall, the Yi family gathered, and all of them looked at the empty position in the center of the conference hall. Everyone, my grandfather is in critical condition now, and the Qin family can't be without leaders. I suggest that we select an agent as soon as possible to be responsible for the specific affairs of the Qin family during my grandfather's unconsciousness. There is no one in the big room. I recommend that the second room be in charge of the position of the agent. When the old man is out of danger, he can give it back with both hands. A little later, a cold-faced young man stood up and spoke out what everyone thought. Fei Yan, what do you mean? Who knows not, what is the two room is the matter of your own, has the final say that the two rooms are the master of the house of the agent, and what is the difference between saying that you are the master of the house? After a word, a middle-aged woman immediately stood up and said bitterly, besides, when the old man was sober, he never said that he would be in charge of family affairs by the second room. Our fourth room was the first one who didn't agree with you. This woman is Qin Cheng's mother, Hong Yuru. It was Qin Feiyang, the eldest son of the second house of the Qin family, who had previously proposed that the second house should take charge of the family affairs. We are not satisfied with Sanfeng. The old man can't be a director for the time being. It's up to the Qin family to decide what to do. It's better for everyone to have one vote to choose the acting head. Then another young man stood up and said in a cold voice. This man is Qin Jifeng, the eldest son of the Qin family. One person, one vote? Jifeng, why didn't you say that when the old man was alive? Who don't know, you three rooms do what not, but the most people, vote, let you directly as. Hong Yuru is unconvinced and goes back. We're a family. We're not. What kind of voting? It's up to the elite of the Qin family to decide the affairs of the Qin family. Not only Hong Yuru, but also Qin Feiyang coldly refuted the words. In an instant, the atmosphere of the meeting room solidified. The people in the second room, the third room and the fourth room were all eyeing each other. For a moment, there was a feeling of tension. When my grandfather was sober, he didn't say who would take charge of the family affairs, but he thought highly of Sister Luoshan and always took her with him. A lot of family affairs were decided by her. As soon as their voice fell, a young girl in the crowd timidly said, "In my opinion, we'd better wait until Sister Luo comes back to discuss the matter of acting as the head of the family." Nonsense. She's a girl's family. She's not qualified to be the head of the family. It's true that the old man usually takes her with him, but he just spoils her. When did he say that he would give the Qin family to her? Haven't you heard that the water thrown by the married daughter and the wise man like the old man will hand over the future dominance of the Qin family to an outsider? Qin Shaoling, you are going to have a good relationship with Qin Luotian. You want to give you some benefits after she takes the position of acting head of the house. As soon as the young girl's voice fell, whether Qin Feiyang, Hong Yuru or Qin Jifeng, the three people who were originally hostile looked at the young girl almost at the same time, and their faces were gloomy. Looking at the fierce look, I don't know. I'm afraid I think that Qin Shaoling has done something heinous, which is why he has attracted such crazy criticism. You. Qin Shaoling didn't expect that her simple words would trigger such a big reaction from the three people. She was shocked. Her pretty cheek was red and wanted to argue for Qin Luotian. Although Mr. Qin did not say before that he would give the position of the head of the Qin family to Qin Luotian, the attitude of the old people towards Qin Luotian has always been based on the quasi-head of the family. Now these people, because of Qin Luotian's gender, criticize her. They even say that the girl is not qualified to be a housekeeper. They are just lying with their eyes open. These guys are the real ulterior motives. Don't talk about Qin Luo. She's a girl. She'll get married sooner or later. The family business of the Qin family can't be handed over to such a girl. Qin Feiyang didn't wait for Qin Shaoling to finish her speech, so he interrupted her and said coldly. Feiyang is right. No matter the acting owner or the real owner, it should not be controlled by a girl. It's true that the Qin family is in danger now. It's time for the wind and rain. Someone needs to stand up and pick the beam. Qin Luotian is going to marry the Li family. It's not suitable to sit in this position. Qin Jifeng and Hong Yuru once again reached a consensus with Qin Feiyang and nodded. Aunt Yuru, Jifeng, since we can't reach a consensus for the time being, I think it's better. We'll set up a common governing group, and each of the three families will send one person to join the group. When things happen, we'll make a decision together. After that, Qin Feiyang's eyes changed. He turned to look at Hong Yuru and Qin Jifeng and said, "Do you have any opinions on my words?" At the same time, his eyes is intended to look at the side of Qin Shaoling. I agree with Brother Feiyang's decision. Qin Jifeng can't understand. Qin Feiyang means to fix the position of the agent as soon as possible, so as to avoid accidents when Qin Luotian comes back. He immediately nods and says, I agree. Hong Yuru nodded. I agree. Agree. Immediately after that, the other Qin family members in the assembly hall also nodded their heads, but none of them raised any objection. Looking at this scene, Qin Shaoling turned pale with anger, turned away from the meeting hall and rushed to the hospital. After Qin Luotian came back, she planned to tell Qin Luotian all the things that had just happened here. Qin Feiyang looked at her triumphantly, and his eyes were full of ridicule and fun. He knows what Qin Shaoling is thinking, but it's just that Qin Shaoling's idea is doomed to fail. On the other side of the hospital, Qin Shaoling can't get through at all. Moreover, according to the photo of Qin Luotian standing in the center of the site that the killer sent to him before, it means that Qin Luotian, 90% can't come back. At dawn, the private plane slowly landed at Jiangnan Airport. Miss, do you want to go back to Qin's first, or go to the hospital to see the old man? After arriving at the parking lot, the bodyguard in charge of driving looked at Qin Luotian and asked respectfully. Nonsense. Go to the hospital. Qin Luotian looked at the bodyguard coldly and said in a deep voice. For her, all the Qin family's industries together are not as safe as the old man. After a word, the black Maybach rushed to Jiangnan Hospital. These people of the Qin family are really cold and thin. Half an hour later, when the car came to the gate of Jiangnan Hospital, Tian could not help but smile. Mr. Qin was admitted to the hospital. According to principle, everyone in the Qin family should be here at the moment, but when they arrived at the hospital, the door of the hospital was empty and there were no cars in sight. From this, we can see that for the Qin family, the property of the Qin family is far more important than the life and death of the Qin father. In other words, in such a big Qin family, Qin Luoshan is the only one who cares about his life and death. Miss, asked clearly, the old man's intensive care unit on the 9th floor, but the cause of his illness is not clear. When the Qin family sent people over, the old man was already unconscious. A few minutes later, the bodyguard who went to the front desk to ask for information rushed over and told Mr. Qin's ward number. Qin Luoshan nodded and hurried to the elevator. Seeing this, Tian quickly walked in front of Qin Luogod. Since Qin Feiyan even sent out killers, I'm afraid there's something strange about Qin's admission to hospital. In this way, the people in the Qin family certainly don't want people to find out the real reason why Qin's illness is so serious. It's not so easy for them to go to the ward and see him. Who are you? Leave at once. Sure enough, just as Tian and others came out of the elevator, 4 or 5 big men with earphones surrounded them and looked at them fiercely. What's more, the bodyguards around Qin Luoshan saw that these people were not the ones who had protected Qin Laozi before. Open your dog's eyes and see clearly that this is Miss Luoshan. Can't you even stop her? Qin Luoshan's bodyguard stepped forward, looked at these guys and said in a deep voice. The order we received is that no one is allowed to enter the 9th floor, no matter whether you are a young lady or a young master. But unfortunately, after hearing the words of the bodyguards, these powerful men refused to give up. Get out of the way. Qin Luoshan's bodyguard was furious, and he reached out and grabbed these powerful men. Brush! Bang! But as soon as his hand reached out, the big men grabbed the bodyguard's arm, then fell over his shoulder, put him on the ground, and stomped heavily on his chest, kicking him to death. These people are very skilled. Seeing this, Qin Luoshan couldn't help smoking. The security guards around her are not weak either, but they are still 1 grade worse than these strong men. I'm warning you for the last time, leave now, otherwise, this will be your end. Closely following, a few big men look bad looking at Tian and Qin Luogod, continue to scold. To die. Tian Zhen didn't bother to talk with these guys. He stepped forward and then made a quick fist like lightning. Bang! 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 A few punches hit, before that several invincible bodyguards immediately fell to the ground, the pain of the roar more than. Who seeing this, Qin Luoshan can't help but feel a little relieved. He is more fortunate that he allows Tian to come with him. Otherwise, with the skills of these powerful men, the bodyguards around her are not the opponents of each other at all. Go! Tian Zhen didn't look at them one more time, but turned to Qin Luoshan. Seeing this, Qin Luoshan follows Tian and rushes to the ward. Stop! But just when they appeared in the ward corridor, along the front of a ward, 5 or 6 big men rushed out immediately. Moreover, these people are no longer bare-handed. 4 of them are holding baseball bats in their hands, and 2 of them are already reaching out to the back of their waists, probably with daggers or guns. Grandfather's critical illness is not like an accident, but more like a murder. Seeing this scene, Qin Luo's eyes immediately jumped wildly. In front of him, this posture is not like protecting Mr. Qin normally, but more like monitoring him, which makes him lose all channels of contact with the outside world. Get out of here! Just at the moment when Qin Luo's mind changes, Tian's eyes are awe-inspiring, his hand comes out, and quickly grabs a bamboo broom that is leaning on the side. With a little force, he pinches it to pieces. Whoa! 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 Immediately after that, Tian's mana moves. With his hand raised, the bamboo scraps in the canopy are like raindrops, whistling toward the group of big men. It's just some bamboo and wood, but when it flies, it's a sharp sound like a sharp blade breaking the air. Ah ah! Immediately, the group of strong men with sharp blades fell to the ground one after another and howled bitterly. Qin Luoshan looks at the bamboo and wood scraps that Tian broke off from the bamboo broom. At the moment, they pierced the bodies of these powerful men like a flying knife. Although it would not kill them, it would make them bloodied and miserable. Flying flowers and leaves can hurt people. There is such an incredible thing in the world. Qin Luo looked at the scene, almost unable to believe his eyes. If she didn't see it with her own eyes, she couldn't believe that the bamboo and wood debris that could break her fingers could burst out so powerful. It can't be said that these guys in front of her were all made of tofu. At this moment, her feeling of bringing Yi Tian to Jiangnan is stronger and stronger. She knew that if Yi Tian did not follow her, she would not be able to see the old man even if she returned to Jiangnan this time. At this time, after Yi Tian got rid of the big men, he took the lead and took Qin Luoshan to the room where the big men had just rushed out. Just walked to the door of the ward. Through the glass on the window of the ward, Yi Tian saw an old man with white hair and whiskers lying on the bed inside. There is no treatment facility on the old man. To be exact, it's not that the hospital didn't rescue, but that someone was deliberately obstructing. Beside the hospital bed, there are oxygen inhalers, ECG monitoring devices, etc., but at the moment, they are all unplugged and allowed to eat ashes in the corner. The Qin people want this old man to die. When Yi Tian saw this, he took a breath of cold air and was shocked by the ruthlessness of the Qin family. Tiger poison doesn't eat children, but these guys in the Qin family completely ignore the family. Grandfather. In this case, Qin Luoshan saw this behind the scenes, his eyes turned blood red instantly, pushed open the door, rushed to the bedside, held the old man's hand tightly, sobbed and called. That picture is very moving. Yi Tian understands that at this moment, making Qin Luogod cry can relieve his pressure, so he doesn't comfort anything. Instead, he uses his mind to scan Qin's body and examine his physical condition. Qin Luoshan was assassinated and his ward was blocked. All these show that there is a great mystery in his sudden critical illness. It's not really an emergency, it's poisoning. When Yi Tian's mind saw the location of Qin's viscera and found that there was a layer of light cyan viscous object on his 5 viscera, his eyes suddenly changed and blurted out. You say, grandfather is poisoned? Qin Luogod heard Yi Tian's words, looked up and said. Yes, he was really unconscious because of poisoning. Yi Tian nodded, gave a positive answer, and then asked, do old people like to play with some strange stones? Yes, Qin Luogod nodded and trusted Yi Tian's words. Master Qin likes the strange stone. Only a few people know about it. She doesn't believe that Yi Tian can hear it. So it is. Yi Tian Wenyan slightly nodded, and then looked at Qin Luogod that worried look, said with a smile, you don't worry, his body of this poison, I can solve. As a dandy, Yi Tian not only has a profound understanding of pharmacology, but also has a thorough study of toxicology. As far as the situation of Mr. Qin is concerned, he can responsibly say that in today's world, no one can cure him except him, no matter which hospital he is transferred to. Because the poison in the old man's house is extremely rare, even to the point that even Yi Tian is quite surprised. The poison in Qin Laozi is not plant and animal toxin, but mineral toxin contained in the refining material called kunwo sand. Kunwo sand was born in the heart of the earth. Although it is a metal, it is highly toxic. If normal people touch it a little, even if they touch it, it will lead to toxicity into the 5 Zhang organs, and then form a layer of light cyan mucus in the 5 Zhang organs, which can inhibit the vitality of the 5 Zhang organs, and make people lose their lives in a coma. However, if it can remove the toxicity of kunwo sand and be used as a refining tool, it is an excellent material, which can make the magic tool have the ability of regeneration. For example, when competing with people, some bumps on the magic tool can be recovered slowly through the strange ability of kunwo sand. Even if it is broken in half, kunwo sand is extremely precious. Even when refining Banxian soldiers, it will be added. Even in Fengsuan spirit realm, it is rare. Yi Tian didn't expect to see such a baby on earth. Of course, this is also because he once refined the Banxianbing and came into contact with this material. Otherwise, other mountain people would not know the cause even if they had the ability of internal vision and could see the light cyan mucus. Are you sure? Qin Luogod looked at Yi Tian, some surprise, and some uneasy way. As I said, I won't cheat anyone. Yi Tian looks at Qin Luogod and smiles. The toxicity of kunwo sand is really difficult to deal with, and it's obvious that it has been poisoned according to the situation of Master Qin. For a period of time, the treatment is even more difficult. But for the sake of Ning Yao, Yi Tian is willing to do it. Well. Qin Luoshan nodded and looked at Yi Tian for a long time. Then he said slowly, as long as you can cure your grandfather, I can tell you what dreams I had in the car, and I won't blame you for treating me as Ning Yao. I don't regard you as Ning Yao. In my eyes, you are Ning Yao. Yi Tian shakes his head and wants to explain something to Qin Luoshan. However, seeing that Qin Luoshan turns his head to one side after hearing this, obviously he doesn't want to know, he sighs and says, "Don't worry, I will cure him." After that, Yi Tian reaches out his hand and holds the old man Qin on the bed. "What are you doing?" Qin Luo God saw Yi Tian's action and immediately asked nervously. "Use mana to force out the poison in his body," Yi Tianchen said, and then he turned over and sat down on the bed. His palms were close to the back of Master Qin. The magic power was like a spring, and suddenly passed to the body of Master Qin. Mana dispels poison? Qin Luoshan looks at Yi Tian's action in a dazed way. He feels absurd in his heart. He thinks that there is no such treatment in the world. But she can't help but pick up some confidence from the bottom of her heart. It's too toxic to get rid of. At the same time, Yi Tian's brow immediately wrinkled when the mana came to the blue mucus in the Qin's viscera under the guidance of divine thoughts. Mr. Qin has been poisoned for a long time, and those poisons are deeply rooted. Even though his mana is powerful, it is as if he is stuck in the mire and hard to push. Now that I have promised her, I will face the difficulties and succeed anyway. Yi Tian Yuguang glances at the nervous look of Qin Luo God beside him. He moves in his heart, strengthens his confidence, mobilizes the original spirit fire in the elixir field, strengthens his magic power, and tries his best to eliminate the poison. When the original fire works, the mana power immediately rises. The originally motionless cyan toxic mucus immediately peels off like a cocoon. Under the effect of mana, it gradually peels off and rushes to the esophagus of Master Qin. But Yi Tian's face, in the loss of the original spirit fire, just a few breath of time, also suddenly became pale down, on the forehead, sweat rolling, the back is even more wet. He is really trying his best to cure his grandfather. Qin Luoshan looks at Yi Tian, and his heart suddenly swings. He looks at Yi Tian with more gratitude in his complicated eyes.